Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Ooh, we got a little extra?
Ant had an extra transition. Director Anthony back for day number 2 for Director Steve, who's on his cruise. We don't know what kind of cruise it is. We just know it is a cruise.
Is he really on a cruise?
He is on a cruise.
He is.
Oh, yeah, we know what's going on.
He texted the group. He was alive in Mexico.
Survived day 1.
He's
Congratulations, Steve.
Started in Mexico.
Well, he was on Sunday.
He was yesterday, yeah. We'll see where he goes today. Well, welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, ladies and gentlemen. Mikey McNuggets, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lowe. We got Earl the Pearl behind the glass. We have Anthony directing for us today. A big Tuesday show in store. And before we get into our topics, which will cover the Browns, the Guardians, the Cavs loss, we interviewed Emoni Bates, an exclusive one-on-one with Emoni coming up in a bit. But first, we were talking about potential new intro songs if we could have all the exclusive rights we wanted, which obviously we can't afford because that costs a lot of money, and Tegna's not going to shell out millions of dollars for us to use. But Tyvis, it was up to you. What would the intro song to UCSS be?
Well, after talking to Earl the Pearl, and I understand that it's going to be a significant amount of people that don't know this song, but it's a banger, especially amongst the African-American community. We decided that we would go with Gucci Mane, Swing My Door. It's one of those songs that if you haven't heard it, do yourself a favor and go play it.
Jason, are you familiar with that track?
Gucci Man, Swing My Door.
Swing My Door.
I know Prada Man, Bang My Door, but I don't know Gucci Man, Swing My Door. I don't know that one.
It's a very good song. It was on Chicken Talk. It was on a mixtape.
I mean, it was playing when I walked in, right? That's what.
Yeah, I sure was playing it, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Oh, would you co-sign that as the official secondary open of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show?
I definitely co-sign that, man. Gucci Man, Swing My Dough should definitely be the open for the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I think our fans of all races, creeds, and genders would literally bob their head to it. You know what I mean? It puts you in a certain mood.
It got a nice
certain
beat to
mindset. It gets you going.
My only question, Director Steve would be the one that has to play it every morning. What would Director Steve's reaction be to hearing that song?
He would listen.
I can guarantee you Director Steve has never heard that song.
He would listen to it the first time, and he would go, it's got a nice beat to it, I like it, And then before you know it, he'll be singing the words, Swing My Dough, Swing My Dough.
He would be asking questions about the mathematics being mentioned in the song.
How long until he shows up with like a chain? In a shirt.
You don't need all that. You don't need all that.
Shades.
You don't need all. Steve he has his own style. He's like a Urkel. He's got an Urkel type style.
We actually should. He's not here, so we can't do this when he's not here. But when Steve gets back next week, let's put a pin in this and chat. Remind me to remind you guys when Director Steve's back. Let's roast Director Steve one day. I think he's the only one out here who's never been roasted for something they've worn on the show. So let's roast Director Steve next Friday. All in favor?
Him and his Skechers.
On Thursday when you're here. We'll do it on Thursday with Tyvis.
Whatever. I've been saving up for Steve. That's my arch enemy back there. I feel so at peace. It was just good vibes coming in here. I didn't have that negativity when I walked in here. I didn't have to see his face.
Well, how does it feel that he's on a cruise this week and then you're copying him next week by going?
I'm not copying him. I'm not copying. See,
is the Buckeye cruise next week?
Yeah, I'll
Steve
start on Saturday. What's the difference between me and Steve is this is not a pineapple cruise.
But which way's the pineapple going?
His is upside down. His is upside down.
We love Steve. There's no way he's watching, so I guess because he'll come back and watch all 10 hours of UCSS this week, though. You do know that. Like, Steve will see everything that is said about him throughout the week. So, Steve, hopefully you enjoy your cruise. I didn't say anything. Hopefully you enjoy your cruise, and we'll see you back Monday. Anthony's directed for us. He directed the Emoni Bates interview, which will be coming up here shortly. Earl put a great question on the rundown today. Which team is closer to winning a championship right now, the Browns or the Cavs? Could Justin Fields be headed to the AFC North? Which Guardians player is poised for the biggest second-year breakout? on the pitching staff, and the Cavs lost last night, but Darius Garland found his groove. All that's coming up in a sec, but first, Earl, you are a rich man today, aren't you, my friend?
I'm rich every day because I'm around y'all great people, but I got a few more dollars in my pocket, man. You know why?
Why?
Because get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. And me, take that fool. That's my winning ticket.
Okay.
That's my winning ticket.
Okay.
And before I put my ticket in, I went on Twitter, and I said, I feel good. I think Darius Garland is going to have his highest scoring output game since returning from injury. I said he's going to score about 20 points and hit at least 2 3-pointers. So for all those that I don't think he's talented or that I don't like him, I wouldn't have put money on him if I didn't think of the two. So
You know what's crazy is I think I either saw you post that either in the chat or on
He tweeted
Twitter.
it. He tweeted it.
Yeah, I tweeted
Before, so like people could, you was actually showing love. You was putting people on or something.
I bet you nobody trailed it.
I mean, all you gotta do is check the comments on the tweet, and they'll tell you if they hit or not.
I doubt if they did.
That,
I doubt if they did.
can you throw that ticket back up? Because that didn't look outrageous. What was it, Donovan for 30?
It was a 10-part parlay. You only see a couple.
Oh, it's 10 part. Oh,
I'm about to pull it up for you right now.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it
Those
was
are hard.
Earl took some alternate lines, which
You know,
made it a little more reasonable.
You know,
but
I
it
don't know
was-
anything about those things.
You know what's crazy? Is
I've never bet alternate lines. I have a hard enough time with one line.
Me
let alone-
too. Yeah.
I put a ticket in yesterday, 12-leg parlay. I put $2 on it, and I missed it. You know why I missed it? By one leg.
Giannis.
No, it was all Cavs. I took the under on Garland.
Well, you
The only thing.
You went
Everything
against
else
Earl.
hit.
You went against Earl. Never.
Well, I
MVP.
put mine in the morning before he posted his.
Y'all took the under on Garland?
He did.
Yeah. That's
The man
disrespect,
has
Earl.
played. The man has played in what 4 or 5 games.
careful.
He's
Be
had
careful.
more. He hasn't had no more than 14 points in those 4 or 5 games he's played since.
That's not his first game. He scored 20
Did he score 20?
against the Pistons.
Oh, I'm not. It's the Pistons.
All right, well, speaking of Darius Garland and the Cavs, their win streak came to an end last night against the Philadelphia 76ers. They fell 123-121. They made it close. They were down 10 with about 90 seconds to go. They made it a 2-point game. Garland missed a potential 3 at the buzzer. We'll talk about the game after we talk about DG. As Earl mentioned, his highest scoring performance since coming off the injury. 9 assists, 0 turnovers. That's the point guard DG you hope and expect. Jason, what'd you see from DG as he continues to acclimate himself, to this Cavs offense?
I like the 9 assists, no turnovers more than anything else. Turnovers have been an issue for him at times this year. He was in command of the ball. He's going to be fine. Like the talk before the trade deadline about you had to move Darius was kind of making my head explode because it's prisoner of the moment, and it's very short-sighted because last year nobody was saying that about Darius and Donovan. They seemed to play okay together last year. So where all this came from now, it didn't really make a lot of sense. So there will be times where the offense runs through Donovan and Darius will have to play off the ball. There's going to be times where the ball runs through Darius and Donovan has to play off the ball. We know Donovan can do it. The Cavs are fairly certain Darius can do it. They've got all kinds of data that they'll run at you and show you that he's very comfortable playing off the ball. We haven't seen it as much this year, but he's had a lot of injuries. How many games has he played now? 27, 28?
Something like that, yeah.
So we're, over the midway point of the season, almost at the All-Star break, and people want to throw their hands up and say, what's wrong with Darius? Well, part of the problem is he hadn't played. He hadn't played a lot. So you're making long-term assumptions on short-term data, I guess is the best way to say it. So you just have to let him play a little bit more and get his feet under him. They should have won that game. I did not watch the game live last night. I had 100 things going on, but I went back and watched a little bit of it this morning. And that's a game that was right there for them to win. They should have won the game. They didn't. It happens, man. Like there's games like that all the time in the league that you should win and you don't. There's games that you steal that you probably should have lost that you won. So really not that big of a deal that they lost the game. But I was encouraged by what we saw out of Darius for sure.
I know he's your favorite Cav tie. Do you agree with Jason's point that it's just taking time for Darius to get reacclimated to this offensive system?
Yeah, I was never in the camp of trading Darius. That's blasphemy to me. I mean, he's, like I said, when the playoffs came around, he actually was a little spark that you needed, and I think you need that for the rest of the season. I think for me, when I watched him last night, he's getting comfortable with – he's finding his role. See, this Cavs team without him, they established themselves to play a certain type of way. And everybody was like, well, how does Darius fit into this? And I think those first games he was trying to figure out, let me see how do I fit into this role. And obviously with more repetition, you get better at that. And the fact that he had 9 assists is great. I mean, he was trending in that direction for the last couple of games. I think he had 6, 7. Yeah. So he was trending in that way as far as, finding the open guys. But the scoring was the thing for me that was encouraging. I mean, he hit some threes. He hit some really good shots. He got everybody involved. He looked like the guy that I know that he's going to be. And you also need that guy to take the ball out of Donovan Mitchell's hands sometimes that can also produce and create and be productive. And that's what he is. But only thing I'm sad about is that he had the corner tray at the end and he missed it.
Yeah.
That's the only. He shorted it too. Boy, you got to put some legs into it or something. If it was me, I would have stood on the desk like Kobe Bryant after I hit that shot. But that's the only thing for me is that he missed that wide open tray at the end.
2 things I noticed in last night's game about Garland. I thought the Cavs made a conscious effort to get him going early.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, first 2 possessions, Garland, go do your thing, pick and roll at Mobley. See what you get. He made a little 8-9-foot jumper, had a pass to the corner, they missed a shot. But they tried to get him going early, get him into rhythm. And once he was in a rhythm, you saw everything kind of fall into place. He is their second best playmaker. There's not a question about that. He had 9 assists last night. Everyone outside of Mitchell, who plays guard, combined for 11 assists. He had 9. Everyone not named Mitchell. We're talking Strus, LeVert, Okoro. You could throw Niang in there, too, and there's one more guy I'm forgetting.
Jared Allen.
Strus. Combined. No, Allen and Mobley, I don't count. They're bigs. They're not playmaking the same way. They combined for 11. Garland had 9. So you need that secondary playmaker on the court in crunch time when it matters, because if they double team, put all their attention on Donovan, you need a second guy to go out there. Secondly, Garland's an assassin in transition. And last night, and we'll get to the big picture of the game in a sec, they got crushed in transition defensively. I thought their defensive transition effort was frankly pretty poor. Donovan talked about it after the game. It just wasn't good enough. But offensively, as soon as they got a board and they dominated the glass with Allen and Mobley going up against Paul Reed and Kelly Oubre as their bigs, Garland was getting out and running. And he had a couple plays where he took it to the rack himself. He had a beautiful pass to Max Strus in the third quarter for an open layup. And when the Cavs can get up and down the court like that, their defense, we'll talk about it in a sec, it was a bad defensive game. They'll be better than that on a regular basis. But if they're going to score 121 points, I feel pretty damn good about the Cavs being able to close out games and win with 121 points. And if Garland's getting up and down in transition, opening the floor for everyone else, that's going to make offense so much easier for the other 4 guys on the court.
This is a young team. They were last in the league last year in pace. And
it made no sense.
It made no sense. Since January 3rd, since this tear that they went on, I think they're 2nd or 3rd in the league in fast break points, which is where they should be. Like, this is a young team that should be able to get up and down the floor. They should push the tempo. They should get out and try and run in transition. And then if it's not there, then pull it back, run a set, run your half court, although their half court typically is really just pick and roll heavy. But they should look for easy baskets. And I don't know why it wasn't happening before, but it certainly has been since the start of the new year, since 2024 it has been.
It's actually, they've been rebounding better since the start of the new year.
They've been killing
kind of doesn't, like the eye test doesn't match the eye test doesn't match the lineups because you would assume they're a better rebounding team with Mobley and Allen. I think in the long run they are.
Yeah.
But they had been at their best rebounding when Mobley got hurt in that, what they win, 13 of 14 before Mobley came back, whatever the exact number was.
I think that has to do with the fact that Mobley's not down there now, so we got to make up for it. Like,
and everyone's game
rebounding. Everybody
well.
in their minds, like, we can't just let Allen do it by himself. Now that Mobley's back, subconsciously you're like, we're good on the board.
It's also easier to get in transition when your 4 is Dean Wade or Isaac Okoro as opposed to Evan Mobley, and Okoro's not playing the 4, but you have 4 guards who are getting up and down running, and I think that plays into their hand. As Jason said, they're a younger team. They're relatively athletic, which I don't think they were last season. Up and down the line, they may be undersized at certain positions.
What do you mean?
Last season, they were not a super athletic team.
It's the same 5 except
Yeah, but Mobley's bigger and stronger now. Mitchell's taking his game to another level.
Who was our 4, our 3 last year? No, 3.
Okoro.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm just saying, they're like, it's the team that plays a better transition style. You get up and down easier. When you have Garland and Mitchell, That's a rebound, outlet, 2 dribbles. You're in position to score, kick to the corner. And with the shooters they have now, whether it's Strus, Niang, Wade, who they've missed dearly last night. I want to talk about him in a sec. Even Okoro now, who can hit an open 3. Mm-hmm. Their 2 dribbles, it's 19 seconds on the shot clock, 20 seconds on the shot clock. And you got DG or Garland at the top of the key with 2 guys in the corner. 3-on-2.
That's scary.
Yeah, pick your poison.
That's scary.
And they're getting easy buckets time after time on those kind of opportunities.
Now compare that to last year when it was
Danny Green.
Well, it was Jetty in the Knicks series. I think it was Jetty driving with oh God, who was Stevens in one corner and Okoro in the other or something like that. And I remember looking at it was a home game and I was at Press Row going what am I?
Yeah.
This has no
I
chance
forgot
of
all
working.
about Lamar Stevens just got picked up by the Grizzlies.
He had a great dunk last night.
I
But
forgot.
you look at the overall rotation, and it is crazy. The roster turnover from last year to this year, they don't have a weak link in the rotation right now. I mean, at least you could trust 10 guys legitimately to play at least a few minutes.
Well, we'll find out when
I'm just saying right now.
Tristan comes back.
And make that 11. You could add Tristan to 11. But last year, if they went to the bench,
It was over.
they had 4 guys to trust.
Jetty, Lamar, Dean.
Danny Green.
And none of them should have been. Jetty and Lamar should not be on a playoff rotation. Jetty should be your 8th or 9th person.
I mean,
Lamar
Lamar
too.
can't shoot. Lamar can't shoot. So to Mike's point, they have so much more depth, and hopefully this continues with Dean. He went through a lot last year. He had the shoulder injury. He had the whole replacing Kevin Love thing that I think messed with him a little bit. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that's all behind him, because if he can continue to shoot and play like this, and he's a better defender, I think, than people give him credit for, than people realize. So if he can continue to play like this, that's a game changer, because they had no bigs off the bench in that playoff series last year. None. They could not play a big off the bench.
I want to bring one more thing up with DG here, though, real quick.
I don't even know who our backup center was.
There was all last year.
Robin Lopez.
Oh, my God.
So you see what I'm saying? Yeah. But back to DG. The way that JB, and it's early, the rotations aren't set by any means, but just kind of going off how we've seen. JB's taking Mitchell out about the 6-7 minute mark of the first quarter, and he's letting Evan Mobley and Darius Garland kind of lead the second unit right now. He's doing a pretty good job staggering their minutes where one of those two is always on the court. And just like we've seen Donovan and Jared Allen develop this special pick and roll chemistry that doesn't necessarily show up in the box score. There's no stat that says this pick and roll works as opposed to other pick and rolls. There have been a few times in the last few games where the DG Evan Mobley pick and roll has produced that same magic. And last night, it was the last play before the end of the first half. Donovan Mitchell gets trapped up top. They're running some wonky. Philly tried throwing some zones at them in the first half yesterday. It didn't work out very well. Darius Garland flashed to the foul line. Donovan does a little pump fake, dishes to him. Garland takes one step, looks to his left at Jared Allen, throws a no-look alley-oop to Evan Mobley on the right. They're developing a really special chemistry that's going to be fun to watch in the last 30 games of the season. And if they could have 2 pick-and-roll combinations on the court at any given time, Mitchell and Allen, Garland and Mobley, that's a legitimate offensive play you could run any shot clock situation, any scenario, any opponent that puts a ton of pressure on the opposing defense.
I think the Garland and Mobley one is a little more deadlier because you can get 2 points or 3 points either way. If he picks and pops to the 3, Mobley got the game to hit it, and if he goes to that's nasty. I like it. I'm playing the scenario like if we go up against the Knicks again, that's Julius Randle and probably Jalen Brunson versus those two.
Well, to Mike's point, this team is going to be a lot more difficult to guard in a series than they were last year. Cavs were very easy to guard last year.
Yeah,
they're going to be much more difficult to guard because there's more weapons, there's more things that they can do, and I'm really curious to see who they get in the first round and who they play off, who they shrink off, and who they actually guard. If Isaac's out there, are they actually going to guard him? I've talked to teams that say no, they're not going to guard him. If Evan is on the perimeter, our team's actually going to guard him, or are they going to shrink off him? And these guys just have to make their shots. They got to make shots and punish teams that aren't going to guard them.
I think that's why a game like last night is, in the big picture, it's a regular loss, whatever. But it's frustrating because it's a game that was right there. And I do legitimately think, for the Cavs especially, seeding matters. And I don't want to the Cavs can beat anyone in the playoffs. On any given night, they can win any series. But getting that 2 seed and potentially avoiding Boston till the conference finals and having your I don't want to say pick the litter. You're going to play someone tough in the second round, but potentially Milwaukee, as opposed to having to go through New York or Philadelphia or possibly Miami in the first round, then Boston in the second round, opens up a tremendously different path to a conference championship and hopefully the NBA Finals.
Well, the 2 seed, you're getting a play-in team. 3 seed, you're not. 3 seed, you're getting a 6 seed. At a 2 seed, you're going to get a play-in. That's substantial.
Yeah.
I think the difference between 1 and 2 is not as significant as it is between 2 and 3. 2 and 3 is 1 and 2, whatever. Of course, you want home court throughout. Yes, of course, fine. But it's really between 2 and 3 and getting play-in team versus getting a 6 seed.
Yeah.
Well, that play-in team could be Philly.
Or
could
Philly.
be. And that would be problematic.
Yeah.
That would be problematic. That'd be a worst case scenario.
I tell you what, though, I did like the way that the Cavs rallied at the end, because it was at a point where I think they was down like maybe 6.
They were down 10 points with a minute 26
Yeah,
left.
something like that. Because I had walked away from the TV screen like,
It was
oh, they done
120,
lost.
110.
And I came back after Donovan had just hit the shot.
The
to
and
put
one?
it- No, Donovan hit the 3 to put him down. I think it was 1 point.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shoot. And they had a chance. The guy, Tyrese Maxey, misses the free throw, splits the free throws, gives them a chance. And, I just went, why did he miss that 3, man? It's crazy. But I just like the fight in them. It shows that they actually care. And I thought Donovan's quote at the end was like, we got bored with winning.
Yeah.
We came out, our defense was bad, and they made up for it. But you can see that. I think at that moment they realized, like, we got to play a full game. We can't just flirt around with the first half and then try to make up in the second half. You got to play a full game.
Oh, what's up?
Hey, when Darius Garland took that shot, I was ready to get torn to shreds on social media. I was waiting on it. Like, I had my phone in my hand. I was about to turn off all comments, everything. I was just waiting on him to hit it. So, but I was like you. I was hoping he hit it. I thought he played a great game yesterday. Like Jason said, the 0 turnovers, 9 assists. I thought that he asserted himself early. The pick and roll between him and Evan Mobley was great. I thought his hustle was great all game. He played, 31 minutes? Like, he's getting better each game. But for whatever reason, coming into last night, I was like, man, this is going to be the night that you actually see him, put the ball in the basket. I just really, really wish, even if I would have get like shredded to pieces on social media,
You take it
I would have took it if him to hit that game-winning shot. I would have took it.
And these kind of weird losses happen all over the NBA. The Celtics, who are the best team in basketball, the best record, lost to the Lakers last week when LeBron and AD didn't play. That's a game there's no reason Boston should lose. The Knicks have lost 4 or 5 right now. Denver lost by 20 to Utah 2 weeks ago. Like, fluke games happen, and give Philadelphia credit. They didn't miss. I mean, Buddy Hield went supernova in the fourth quarter. Kelly Oubre had his second-best offensive performance of the night. Paul Reed, as a starting unit, 4 of their 5 starters outside of Tyrese Maxey all missed fewer than 5 shots. It was an absurd shooting performance. There's going to be games like that. But it's funny. We've talked about Dean Wade, and I know G's not a fan of him, and his numbers in the box score never look great. But he brings something they don't really have elsewhere outside of Dean Wade. And last night, I kept thinking to myself, they need Dean Wade, and that's something I never thought I would say as a Cavs fan watching this team from last year to this year. They needed him last night.
What's sad is that in Cleveland sports we say that about a lot of players. We said that about football season was Jed Wills. We said that. Never thought we'd need Jed Wills. But
Yeah.
It's crazy how the guys that you develop, the developmental guys are the ones that's like the backbone because they're like glue guys. You don't know that you need them until they're not there. And you're like, man, he would have been great in that spot. And yeah, you needed Dean Wade for those defensive and those potentially 2 threes that he could potentially make. It would have been huge to have that come off the bench. So
And he's 6'9".
And that's what I'm saying. The size
he gives some
is
legit
just,
size on the
it's just-
perimeter.
you can't coach the size.
Just compared a number 10 overall pick at left tackle.
You know what I mean?
To an undrafted dude.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Everybody was ready to say.
I was going to let him go with it because I know his point.
You know what I mean?
I thought it was a reach, but I knew what he was trying to say.
You know what I'm trying to, yeah. Everybody hated Jed Wills.
Hey, I was the one trying to defend that man.
And you came in here and said you guys are right. He's not good.
And I had to break up with him after the second game.
But when he went on that IR, what did you say?
Before he got hurt.
No.
Before he got hurt. What was I saying? If he goes down, y'all going to be talking different about Jed Wills.
Yeah.
I said that all summer long. And that man came out with 2 of the biggest swinging gate games I've ever seen in my life in the first 2 games. You could have laid a 2x4 down at left tackle. And it would have done a better job because at least someone would have had to step over it on their way to the quarterback. He was horrendous those 2 games, and then he got better.
Do you agree on the Dean Wade point, though, that last night was a game that kind of showed what he brings to this team that they lack when he's not there?
And all you need from him, you don't need Kevin Love 2017, 2016.
No.
That's why I said those 2 threes and that defense and those rebounds. That's
yes,
it.
you need 8 points out of him. You need a couple of threes, 4 or 5 rebounds, spread the floor, play good defense for 18 minutes a night.
Yeah.
That's what you need. That's it. It's not a big ask for what they, but it's very important to how they play. So he's not going to play 35 minutes. He's not going to score 30 points a night. He's not going to make 5 threes in a night. Like, that's not what you're asking him to do. So you're not asking a lot, but what you're asking of him is very important. It's almost like, I'll give you another one. We'll go back to another Brown. I'll give you Juan Thornhill in terms of, everyone thought Juan had a bad year, and I went back to what you said, and then I started paying attention to it, and I really noticed it. He had 4 or 5 game-saving tackles that I saw where it's like, if you don't get him down, it's either to the house or it's a 50-yard play. So you don't need him until you need him, but when you need him, you really need him, and that's sort of how I view Dean.
That's post safety for you.
It's just a couple of threes that you need. That's it. And just spread the floor. You do have to guard him. He does have a reputation as a shooter.
Yeah.
This isn't Isaac that we're talking about. This isn't Evan Mobley. This is a legitimate stretch 4 out there that you have to know where he's at on the floor. So what he gives you, it's not a lot in volume, but it's very important to what they do.
And if you look at the Cavs roster construction, Max Strus is 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
Okoro's 6'4", 6'5". LeVert's 6'4", 6'5". Niang's 6'6" with the vertical leap of half an inch. I love George, my guy. But, like,
they call him a minivan for a reason.
Yeah, the G-Wagon for a reason. All their wings are 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". Donovan's 6'1", 6'2". Darius is 6', 6'1".
It's not a big team
They're a small team. They have Evan and Jarrett, 2 7-footers. Outside of that, it's a relatively small team. And to match up with some of the bigger wings on the perimeter, especially in the playoffs. I mean, you're looking at a Boston team. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. New York, Anunoby, Bogdanovich, Julius Randle. That 6'9", 6'8" defender in Dean Wade is going to be called upon in some crucial situations just based off his pure physical stature, that even though he may not be as good as some of the other guys the Cavs can throw out there in terms of their overall talent, he's got 4 or 5 inches to make life more difficult for those guys he'll be guarding. And last night was another example where I just thought the sheer lack of size they had guarding some of the Sixers' wings, it came back to bite him in the ass.
How did we get to that, though? Remember when Lauri Markkanen was here, we had like 3 legit 7-footers in the lineup, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't 7 feet. They stretched that a little bit.
You know what I mean.
But, yeah, and that's how JB likes to play. JB likes, like, he's never hid. JB Bickerstaff is very much like
size.
He's a 90s coach. He likes size. He likes physicality. He likes to win with defense. He's not a big fan of this
Small
pace and space, small lineups.
Which makes what he's done this year so incredible.
I know.
Yeah.
And he's like, in the beginning, he was even grudgingly saying, like, you know, with all these injuries, we have no choice. We just have to run down and jack up threes. And it's working for him. But that's not his preferred style of play. He would prefer the Lauri Markkanen, Mobley, Jared Allen front line. Mm-hmm. He likes big, tough guys, big, like a lot of size.
Yeah.
Use that because a lot of teams don't play like that. There's very, very few, and that's why they had so much success with Markkanen. And to Markkanen's credit, like, he was always supposed to be a good player. Like, go back to Chicago.
He was 7th overall pick.
Yeah, he was supposed to be a star. It didn't work out for him in Chicago. He really started to put the wheels back on his 1 year in Cleveland. Now, obviously, he's blossomed in Utah, and that's a credit to him. But, I mean, and also give the Cavs credit for moving him to the 3 and making him a 3. That had never happened before.
Yeah,
He had never played that spot before. But they were having trouble filling the 3. They couldn't really find one. And so they created one out of Lauri Markkanen.
Helped him out.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
And he's obviously blossomed into a 2-time All-Star now. He's playing out of his mind. But I don't think that would have happened here in Cleveland.
He wouldn't have gotten the touches here.
Exactly. He had to go to a situation where he could be the number 1 guy, and he's making the most of it. So overall, before we move on, any long-lasting concerns from last night's game, we just chalk it up to 76ers made some shots.
Yeah.
Stinks they lost, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's the NBA. You're going to lose. You're going to drop a game like that every now and again.
They get Philly again next week, don't they? I think. Is it first game out of the break next week? Or am I behind on the schedule?
They got Chicago tomorrow. I know
like
that.
We always lose to them right before All-Star weekend. We did the same thing last year.
Yeah.
Like,
that was at – were they at Philly coming out of the break? I don't remember. But I think they're at Philly coming out of the break.
Not their first game. It's their second game.
Okay.
They start with Orlando on Thursday, then they're Philly back-to-back on Friday.
All right. So they'll get another crack at Philly next week. That's a pretty good back-to-back, Orlando, Philly. Orlando home?
I just had it up.
It's probably, yeah. I think Orlando's at home.
Orlando is home, correct, according to the ESPN app, if I'm reading that correctly. Earl, we were just talking about threes. You want to do a read and send us off to our one-on-one conversation with maybe what could be the Cavs' future starting small forward?
For sure, man. Make sure tonight at 5 o'clock you catch Jason Lloyd, Mikey McNuggets live for another episode of the Ultimate Cleveland Cavaliers show. Fellas, what y'all going to be talking about tonight?
We're talking about whether or not this Cavs team has the potential to be the best non-LeBron Cavs team of all time. Donovan Mitchell's secret to his success and why he is the exception to the superstar rule in the NBA in a good way. I'll talk a little Evan Mobley. We're going to try to answer a few fan questions this time. We ran out of time last time, but we'll be better. A little less long-winded, and it should be a good one. 5
Tune in
o'clock.
live. Leave your questions.
For sure. So make sure you check the Ultimate Cavs show tonight with Jason Lloyd, Mikey McNuggets. Make sure you subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Ring the bell to get notified when that show goes live. Yesterday, me, you, and G had a spirited conversation with Emoni Bates, man. I thought it went very well. Go ahead and set that up.
Yeah, so we had a chance. This was recorded yesterday afternoon. We've obviously talked about Emoni Bates on this show a lot. Mostly good. Some non-believers here, but hopefully they will become believers. G. Bush was the leader of the Emoni Bates bandwagon from the get-go, so Emoni was kind enough to take a few minutes after practice to sit down and talk with us about what he's learned this season, what he hopes to accomplish in his career, his top 5 one-on-one scores in NBA history, and a few more nuggets I think you'll enjoy. This is Emoni Bates yesterday with me, G, and Earl. This has been a long time coming. This is Emoni Bates, his debut on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And Emoni, I'm not sure if you even know this, but I'm sitting next to G. Bush right here, who is the single biggest Emoni Bates fan in the world. He called your success before the draft. He wanted the Cavs to draft you before the draft boards even came out. It happened, and he's been taking a victory lap all season. So I'm going to pass the mic to G. Bush for this first question here.
Listen, young fella, I'm a big fan of your game. I'm a big fan of your story. And we'll just start off by just saying this. Look, you know, a lot of people don't know about your story in high school, and a lot of people don't know that you reclassified. You was at the University of Memphis at the age of 17 years old. You know, give the fans a little bit of, history lessons in terms of, you know, you being a student of the game and you being able to think the game as well.
I mean, I've been playing basketball since I was 3 years old, so I mean that's all I've been doing since I was a kid. So really just growing up, I just fell in love with basketball. I mean, my dad played overseas for a couple years, so it's like basketball been in my family my whole life. So I just been a student of the game, like growing up, just since I was a kid, watching from my dad, either it's the NBA or just going to play pickup. You know what I mean? Just learning the all-around game, just seeing it every day, even at the park.
Yo, Emoni, man, Earl of Pearl, man. First off, man, welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and happy belated birthday, bro. I understand your birthday was January 28th.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, my daughter turned 16 on the 31st. So,
that's crazy, Aquarius.
Yeah, Aquarius, shout out to y'all Aquarius, man. So, I'm gonna just get straight to it. I am a young man that had to redeem himself, more than once, and I done had some ups and downs. So I love your story and just everything about it. Speak to going from, the #1 overall player in the country, getting to Memphis, going through the hardships that you went through, and now trying to bounce yourself back at just 20 years old. What have the ups and downs early on in life kind of like helped mold you to as a player and as a man?
To be honest, I feel like everything I've been through, it happened to me at the right time. I mean, you see a lot of people now today, like a lot of grown-ups, they go through stuff that I've been through, now, later on in life, a lot of stuff that, you feel me, you wouldn't think that would get thrown at you at a young age, got thrown at me. So, I mean, really just, I feel like I'm happy that everything happening right now, even just me growing every day and just figuring out myself and how to become a better human being and just being better overall is a huge step in life. So I feel like, I mean, just keeping my head up and keeping the main thing is what got me through everything for real.
Emoni, through about halfway through the G League season, a little further, you're averaging 21 points, shooting 40% from the field 40% from 3 on tremendous volume, and I say that as a compliment as a guy who played D3 basketball, only shot threes. Like, I'm jealous of the fact of the green light you have and coach lets you have. So, Emoni, you go in shooting streaks, you get hot, go cold, back and forth, and I know you want to be playing with the NBA team. You're stuck with the G League right now and kind of fluctuating back and forth. But how do you keep the confidence up through all the trials and tribulations of what is your first professional basketball season?
To be honest, just remain myself. Like, whether I'm playing in the G League, at the park, and then up there with the Cavs, I just got to remain myself. So, I mean, really, I feel like if I keep that mindset, it's going to keep me a long way. I mean, if you don't motivate yourself and inspire yourself, who else will? You know what I mean?
You know, you have 2 teammates we watched in the summer league, and to be truthful, a lot of people in our media didn't think that summer league squad. They're like, listen, why y'all watching summer league? And I said, listen, you got Sam Merrill, you got Emoni Bates, you got a lot of guys on that level, Porter Jr. That can contribute. Are people surprised that you guys are contributing the way you have, and we're able to kind of springboard from the summer league to now where you guys are still playing well, you in the G League? Congratulations being on the All-Star team in the G League, and those other 2 guys getting an opportunity to play.
For sure, I appreciate that. I mean, going into training camp, I mean, like, just watching everybody, we all had the hunger to get better and, like, you know, just see everybody grind and, you know what I mean? Like, going to summer league with a mind and, like, we wanted to win. Like, that was our mindset. So, you know what I mean? Everybody kind of go to Vegas, like, we're going to have fun. But we really locked in. I could feel it after the first couple of games, like, especially after the second game. Like, we was like, we might as well just try to get the championship. And I feel like we bonded together and got together and we all locked in on film every time we had a session. We asked coach questions and he helped us out. So, I mean, and we stuck with the game plan. So, I feel like us we really just locked in, and them guys, you know, they playing up and handling business right now too. So, I mean, it all translates.
Yeah, they're taking care of business. Emoni, this might be the most important question you've been asked today or ever. You, Sam Merrill, Donovan, Darius, and George Niang. 100 3-pointers who's making the most?
Me. I gotta go with myself.
Stop talking. You already
that was that was the test, and he passed the confidence.
My man didn't even laugh.
That's
no
what I'm
LOL
saying.
involved.
Shooter to shooter,
No, for sure.
he passed the confidence test 100%. That was the right answer.
Mike didn't ask you the right question, man. I'm going to ask you the right question, man. I'm from Cleveland, bro. First of all, you a Midwest kid just like me, so shout out to the Midwest, right? But being here, 2-part question. How do you love Cleveland so far? What's your favorite part about it? And then 2, I ask everybody this question. Corned beef, I know you're familiar with corned beef. You're from Michigan. But Polish boys, which one is your favorite?
I don't have to be honest. Probably go corned beef for sure for that. Yeah. What was your first question again? Say the first question again.
Like you in Cleveland now, you from the Midwest, so I know it ain't too many things that's different between Ann Arbor and Cleveland. But what's your favorite part about this city?
I mean, everything is close to each other. I mean, like, downtown is real nice. You know what I mean? Like, food spots, you can walk around. Everything close to each other. And Michigan is like where I live at. It's kind of like space. Like you might have to get the car to go get some food, but like it's a lot of food places around each other. You can just walk around the city. The city look nice downtown. So for me, it's just being downtown. Like I'm not really used to being downtown. I'm gonna be honest.
You know, we asked Craig Porter Jr. You know, the same thing when he was on. You know, me and Earl, my man, we go back and forth with the Jays. Like we go back and forth. Like right now, if you had to ask on the Cavaliers, who got the meanest shoe game?
Oh, man. I couldn't even. To be honest, it'd have to go probably Don, Vert. Probably Don and Vert. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, probably Don and Vert.
See, you listen, you tell them, listen, hey, big bro, OG, when you get a pair, I get a pair. I say like you.
hey, no, anybody, you know, I'm gonna let you back on something because like this my man's right here. So we here and we had another sports entity together, right? So I produce for him on the radio, and so when he said it, I make sure his Saturday interviews are set up at 10, so I can hit that sneaker app, so I can get my drop. So I ain't even got to be doing nothing, right? That's how I got them cherry 12s. I got the gratitudes on right now, bro. So
stop showing them.
You already know what's up.
Stop showing them. I wear like 15.
Emoni, the Cavs right now on the NBA level, 117-18. We're taping this Monday afternoon, just so everyone understands. They play the Sixers tonight. But what's it like kind of watching this team come together in a way that they're playing a different style than we expected them before the season. Now they're kind of going 1 in, 4 out. Everyone's coming together playing their best basketball. How much fun is it, and from your perspective, what's been the most kind of interesting and biggest learning lesson you've got from the Cavs in the last month and a half now where they're the best team in basketball?
To be honest, everybody professional, and I mean, they all carry themselves a certain way. You know what I mean? They all locked in. They got their routines down, and it's like it works. I mean, you see, they go in day in and night out, and they do the same thing, and they stick to the game plan. It's amazing to watch. It's great basketball. I mean, who wouldn't want to, see that and be around it? So, of course, I just try to watch everything they do, but for them, it starts on defense. That's the main thing. Coach is always preaching for them, and they always execute the defensive plan. So, I mean, watching them is always fun.
Yo, Emoni, man, I really believe in the bottom of my heart that you got superstar potential, right? You don't go from being the #1 ranked player in the entire nation to all of a sudden not knowing how to hoop at all. And,
Sure.
I've been on this show, I said, I think Emoni is going to be a baller one day. And sometimes people will say the rebuttal to that is, well, Emoni Bates is in the G League and he's a second-round pick. And historically, second-round picks really don't turn out to be much in the NBA. So tell the people today why you're the exception to that rule.
Because, first of all, I believe in myself, and I never settle for, you know what I mean? I mean, everybody got their own opinion on how they feel, but I know how I feel about myself, and I know my goals, and I'm going to chase them. I don't care how long it takes. It can take 3 years, 4 years, or 5. I'm going to keep chasing the same goal, and like you said, I'm going to be a superstar in this league. It's only a matter of time. So, for me, it's all about keeping the main thing, keep grinding. I mean, time will tell. We'll circle back to this question, and everybody gonna.
Oh, for sure we will. We keep receipts around here.
Yeah. One final question is, what has Coach JB Biggerstaff, some of your mentors, my man Boobie Gibson, even even the front office, what have they said that they want you to come back with in your game? That's going to get you those minutes, and that's going to put you the availability to show your talents on the court. What do they want you to work on? We know you got the step back. We know you got it from 45 feet. What is it that they want you to do to improve on?
Just being an all-around player, you know what I mean? Doing it on both ends every single night, you know what I mean? Being able to play defense, execute the game plan every single time. And that's my main focus right now, just being able to guard. I mean, everybody know I can score the ball. But it's like adding that defensive part, I feel like if I have both of those, defense and offense, I feel like that's just going to help me and my game even more. So just being more dominant on both ends of the floor, and that's all they preach to me, is just keep getting better and locking in on the defensive end, and offensively just keep being yourself.
Speaking of locking in, so I'm huge on the rap music, trap music, whatever you want to call it. And when I'm on a panel, when I'm getting ready to produce a show, right now I'm listening to Big X The Plug, Change. So what you listening to right now?
Friday, Blessings, Came Too Far. I listen to a lot of Friday just because he's like a motivational, like gonna motivate you, and then the things he talk about make sense. Yeah. So it's like him. I got my favorite rapper, Huncho. I listen to him. Just the way they rap is like how I kind of go about my day to day. Just motivate, get up, go get it. Ain't no really excuses. Nobody gonna hand you nothing. You gotta go up and go get it. Even the days you don't feel like it, that's the days you gotta get in there.
Respect.
Emoni, we got our last question. We'll let you run. We really appreciate you taking some time to talk to us today, but we don't let any guest come on the show without doing some sort of ranking. So I got to ask you to rank something for us. You're an unbelievable one-on-one scorer, step-back jumper, ISO, you name it, Emoni can do it. In your opinion, the 3 best all-time one-on-one scorers in the NBA. Putting you on the spot. Gotta ask.
You can't even give me 5. 3 is tough.
You want 5? Sure, Emoni, you want 5? Let's try to make it easier for you.
I give you 5. I give you 5. Kobe.
1.
They gotta be in order.
No, we'll do top 5, any order. Kobe.
Oh yeah, bet. Kobe, Tracy McGrady, AI, MJ, and KD.
Done. That's Emoni Bates. That's a damn good top 5.
That's a hell of a top 5, man.
That is Emoni Bates. Check him out with the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Cleveland Charge, coming to a Cleveland basketball court near you. Emoni, we appreciate it. Best of luck the rest of the season, and we'll see you playing at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse here.
Be great, bro.
In the near
Salute.
future. And that was Emoni Bates, the Cavs' second-round pick from last season. Tyvis, we'll talk about the interview in one sec, but you were reacting to his top 5 individual one-on-one scorers of all time.
Yeah.
He went with T-Mac, Kobe, AI, Jordan, KD. Do you agree with his top 5, or did he miss somebody?
He definitely missed somebody for sure, but he's young.
Can you put Giannis on there?
Come on now, Giannis can't be stopped. But we talking one-on-one scores. These kids today, they infatuated with the dribbles and all of the pull-up game and all that stuff, and that's not Giannis's style. Giannis plays bully ball, so I understand why he wouldn't include Giannis on that. But the rest of the list, I respect, especially the T-Mac. That was like my favorite player growing up was T-Mac, so I respect his whole list. Kid does study basketball. Now, you get some size like Giannis, you could go in there and bully ball your way in there because you already got the jumper. You go and get some Giannis size, you can go in there and bully your way in there and lay up and one. You could be the greatest scorer of all time. So it's my thought.
Jason, what do you think of his top 5?
I like the T-Mac pull because it just feels like McGrady doesn't get the same level of respect as he should, and maybe some other players of his generation.
Because the playoffs, never had the playoff success.
Yeah, and for you could tell Emoni studies the game to be able to pull that. He had another, and AI. I mean, everyone knows AI, but still to go with 2 old timers like that, or for him, old timers.
Yeah.
I mean, Tracy was probably in his prime when Emoni was in diapers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
anything that he's seeing is on.
Tracy scored 61 in 2002. Emoni was born in 2004.
Yeah.
So he was not in diapers. He was a twinkle in his mom's eye when T-Mac went for his career high. Tyvis, overall impressions of the interview, though. I know you weren't there. Emoni, he hit on everything.
Yeah.
Learning from the Cavs, what he has to do to improve, to get to where he wants to get to, keeping his head down, keeping his confidence up. What'd you make of the first time we spoken to the 20-year-old Cleveland Cavs?
He comes off as a guy who wants to learn. You can tell that he knows the things that he lacks in the NBA and what he needs to get better at. And you can tell that he's got a great group of people around him that's helping him understand you have to do these things if you want to be successful in the NBA. And I like that. He definitely doesn't lack confidence at all. I mean, he spoke a lot about how he has confidence and how he believes in himself. And I think ultimately that is, when you're in the professional level, that is the biggest thing you can have, confidence. If you don't have confidence, you will not make it long. You can make it a little bit, but you won't make it long, and you won't be ultimately the greatest. So I like the fact that he has his confidence there. And he just seems like a guy that really enjoys playing the game of basketball. He said he's fell in love with it when his dad played overseas, and he's been studying the game. So I like who he is. I like that he's around this great Cavs group. And I think that eventually we will see him make it to the NBA. And I think he has the game that can really contribute to the Cavs winning some games. It's just the defense. You got to just slide your feet some more, get some more effort in there. And I think that comes with time.
He's got some work to do. I became like the Emoni hater over the summer, right? Because we were talking about him every freaking day, and it was like, guys, what are we doing?
He's not going to play.
That was my whole point. Was this year, he ain't going to play, and we're seeing that play out. He's in the G League, and I'm not going to say the guy's never going to have a good career. Like, that's insane to say when he's a rookie. He's got everything in front of him still. If he puts in the work and he gets the right opportunity, you just need a break. You take advantage of that, and you can make a nice career for yourself. My only point all summer long was he is not going to play this year, so what are we doing here? And you can take a long list of G League guys who made all-star teams and try and find them in the NBA, and it hardly ever translates from G League all-star to long, successful NBA career. But there are a lot of people in the Cavs, I've spoken to people in the Cavs who are really high on him and think that he has a chance to make it. So I'm not going to sit here and say he's not going to make it. He's learning how to play within the concept of team basketball this year. And it's not just playground, go get yours. He has to learn the concept of defending within the team, of playing team defense and one-on-one defense and all that. That's what he's doing this year. And they want him around the players. So he's playing in the G League, but by the Cavs moving their G League up to Cleveland and having their facilities in the building, the G League players are around the NBA players. And so he's on the bench a lot for a lot of the games. And they want him in that NBA environment. So this is a project. It's a long-term project. It's one thing to be a second-round pick or an undrafted pick and sort of like come out of nowhere. Everybody knows who Emoni Bates is. Everybody knew that name. Everybody knows the game. And so for all of those teams to pass on him, it's like, because everybody. This isn't some surprise. This isn't Nikola Jokic that they found overseas somewhere. Everybody knows about him. But if he puts in the work, sure, of course he's got a chance. But he's got a lot of work to do between now and then.
Here are my 2 favorite things I took away from talking to Emoni yesterday, or 3. 1, he just was a cool guy. And Earl, you could attest to this. He came off super personable. He got shots up after practice, so the interview got pushed back a little bit. He said, hey, sorry, I got to get my work in, though. Hopefully you guys understand. Of course we understood. Second, the confidence. And to Tyvis's point, in any situation, basketball, football, soccer, baseball, confidence is half the battle.
Yep.
Maybe not 50%, but it's a large portion
I'm
of
about
it.
to say, it's up there.
And, I asked him that question, and he answered about who would make the most shots, and he answered definitively myself. And, you guys kind of busted on me for being like, that's a silly question. Well, I just wanted to see if the confidence was there, and it was in spades. He talked about not necessarily keeping receipts, but he said, I want to revisit this conversation in a few years when I establish myself as an NBA player, and to have that confidence still as a guy who was the #1 overall high school prospect, had his trials and tribulations to get to where he is now. He's in the G League. He's having a very successful and productive season in the G League, but hasn't gotten the opportunities on the Cavs that he's wanted yet. The fact that he's still motivated, keeping his head up, and pushing forward makes me think he's on the right track to finding a place in the NBA. And last and most importantly, I asked him, what have you kind of learned from this recent hot stretch from the Cavs? And to Jason's point, Emoni's on the bench for every home game for the Cavs. If the Chargers aren't out of town playing, Emoni's sitting where Robin Lopez sat last season, and the difference is Robin was in uniform, Emoni's in street clothes, but he's on the bench. And he talked about being a sponge and just soaking up all the information from Donovan and Darius and guys like Max Strus and George Niang who have been on deep playoff runs, played in NBA Finals, and learning what it takes to be a true professional. And you combined that knowledge, and he just turned 20. His birthday was just a few weeks ago. Kid can't even buy a beer yet. To be that young and that talented, to now be in a situation where everything is being given to you to help you put yourself in a position to succeed. You have the veteran presence. You have the coaching staff that believes in you. You have a city that's helping kind of come together to rise you up. Who knows how his career turned out? No one knows. But I think he's in a good a position here as he could be to go from a guy who was the #1 overall prospect to undraftable on some teams' boards to now a guy who's thriving in the G League. I came away very impressed by Emoni Bates.
I just hope that he doesn't get bored or frustrated with the process, because I can understand this. When I was in Seattle as a rookie, right, I played DB. Obviously, in Seattle at this time, it's the LOB.
Sherm, Chancellor,
Earl
Thomas.
Yeah, all of those. And
not Earl the Pearl, Earl Thomas.
And it's like you can get frustrated. Like, yeah, it's nice to learn from these guys because they're the best in the game and you're learning, but
you want to play.
Exactly. Selfishly, it's like, all right, I learned as much as I can learn from y'all. Like, I want to play, but I'm not going to play over y'all. Like, that's just not going to happen. I hope that for him, he doesn't look at this roster and be like, I'm never going to play here. So, like, what am I doing? And then, like, want out of Cleveland and go somewhere else to try to flourish, which I would understand because at the end of the day, you want to play in the NBA and you want to do your thing. But, like, to him, I hope he don't never fall into a situation where he looks and is like, they're never going to let me play over Dean Wade or something like that.
Well, 2 things. A, he's 6'8", and we just talked about in the last topic, their wings are not big. They need size. Yeah. He fits the need. And also, I'm curious, he played with Sam Merrill and Craig Porter Jr. in the Summer League when they won the championship out in Vegas. Sam Merrill's carved a legitimate rotation role on this Cavs roster. Craig Porter Jr. has come in as an undrafted guy and filled a need when Darius was hurt. He's kind of fallen out of the rotation now just because they have so many guys back. But to see those two come through the same position he was in a way and carve out a niche for themselves within the current Cavs roster.
It's inspiring.
I would hope he's inspired by that and not discouraged that other players were there.
But you know what he'll say to himself?
I'm better than them.
Exactly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I hope he's inspired and not discouraged.
I'm better than them. So why is they holding me back? That's what he'll feel. And then you could get frustrated and be like, you know what? To H with this, I'm out of here. I'm going somewhere where I can actually play, where they're going to appreciate me.
I did not get that sense talking to him.
I know. I'm not saying that's how he is. I'm saying I'm hoping that he doesn't get that feeling. That's the whole point of me saying it, because I can understand how you can get frustrated with that. But I wanted to point something out. Last night, while we was talking about Emoni Bates, he was talking about how defense was something he had to work on. Last night, I was watching it on DirecTV, shout out to my father for letting me use his account. I was watching the game, and they had pointed out Karis LeVert was mic'd up. And before they had asked him, about the Cavs this year and whatnot, he was talking about we got to talk more on defense. We've been better because we've been talking more on defense. And then they showed clips of him just communicating defensive things. And it's nice to see that. I'm hoping that Emoni Bates sees a guy like Karis and see what he's doing, how he's communicating on defense, how important it is for the talk on defense so everybody's on the same page. And hopefully he can put that to his game when he's down in the G League.
You have an interesting point about Porter and Merrill and Emoni. And the difference to me, Sam Merrill's 27 years old, and he's on at least his fourth organization. Emoni's 20, just starting out.
And Porter Jr.'s 23, I think.
Porter is older too, and Craig filled an immediate need because the Ricky Rubio thing fell apart.
Yeah.
Ty Jerome was hurt. Darius goes down. They needed
The
a
heck
ball
happened to
handler.
Ty Jerome? I forgot all
So
about
he's
him.
been hurt all year. So they had a real need, and to his credit, like that's what I said earlier, you need an opportunity. Well, Craig Porter got an opportunity, took advantage of it. I wouldn't be surprised if he's converted. He's on a two-way contract right now. I'd say by the end of the year, he'll probably have a contract from the Cavs. He won't be a two-way player anymore. Max Strus has been healthy. Okoro, there's a long list of guys in front of Emoni right now. But again, he's only 20 years old. He's got a lot to learn. Sam Merrill's 27. Think about how long he's been.
That is the forgotten part
grinding
about
away.
Merrill.
Yeah, he's been grinding away at this. He was cut by the Kings. He was
Milwaukee.
with Milwaukee for a while. He was with Miami briefly. He's bounced around. He's been to the G League. He's Summer League. It's 27-year-old dudes in Summer League. Like, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
Like, normally, you're done by then. So he has been on that grind that Emoni's just starting out on. So, and Emoni is playing. He's going to play in the G League. I know it's not the same as the NBA, but it's not like in the NFL where if you can't play on Sunday, you're not going to play. Like, there is no other league for you to go to.
Right.
The G League, the NBA, and the G League has come a long way from where it was even 10 years ago, 15 years ago. They're trying to truly make it a development league, sort of like the minor leagues, AAA for baseball, where you can send guys and develop them and groom them. The Cavs have done a nice job with some of these guys on the margins and finding talent and mining it and developing it. They've had a lot of success doing that. And Merrill and Porter are the latest examples. And if Emoni sticks with it, he could be that too. It's going to take him a little bit of time, but he could be that guy in a couple of years.
Earl, what was your big takeaway from talking
My
to
biggest
Emoni yesterday?
takeaway was the personal growth. Emoni is 20 years old and has, unfortunately found himself in some adverse moments already. And it really made me just think about myself because if I'm being totally honest, I found myself in some serious trouble more often than not between the ages of 18 and 21. And so to hear him speak about how everything that he went through happened to him right on time and how there are people who are twice his age who really haven't overcome certain obstacles or whatever the case may be, you appreciate somebody who go through some stuff and can become wiser behind the things that they go through. That's the maturity that I think Tyvus was alluding to. You know what I mean? When you see that type of maturity, that's why I'm encouraged that he's going to stick it out and continue to work hard and not really worry about, how much talent is on the Cavs roster or will or whatnot on play. Like he said, he's confident. Just keep what you're doing. He said something. Just keep the main thing the main thing.
Yep.
And as long as he keep doing that, he'll be cool because the biggest thing about it is he's 20. You hope that his life is much longer than his NBA career. And some of the stuff that he's been through and clearly has learned from, those are the things that can take him further in life than it ever will on the court. So,
Yeah, it was impressive. He doesn't like doing media. And we got a text afterwards that he said he enjoyed that and would love to come back on. So hopefully that's not the last time we speak with Emoni Bates. If you liked it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll hopefully get Emoni back on soon. Earl, it's time for our special Black History Month spotlight of the day.
yeah, but before we do that, man, don't forget the Cavs is back at home Wednesday night. And if you want to attend the game, then you want to go to Game Time to get you some tickets. This is what you do. You download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. So make sure you check that out. So today, in our Black History moment, I found something pretty cool. February 13th, 1923, the first black professional basketball team was formed, and the name of that team was called the Renaissance. So Robert J. Douglas formed the Renaissance, the nation's first black professional basketball team, on February 13th. The team was named after the famous Renaissance ballroom in Harlem that served as its home court. the Wrens, as they were called, initially played mostly in New York and then eventually around the nation. One of their greatest rivals and ultimately supporters was a white team called the Original Celtics. Together, they played the first integrated game in the South. In addition to that, the Celtics will not join the American Basketball League in 1925, in part because the Wrens were not allowed to. Pretty cool back there. So the first black pro team, basketball team, February 13th, 1923, the Wrens.
I'll be honest, I had no idea. That's fascinating. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Jason, were you aware of this team?
I know a little bit about this because I was just trying to. Who's the guy's name that does the diversity studies in Florida? Oh man, out of the Central. Give me a minute. Let me. I knew about the Original Celtics and a little bit about the Renaissance because I think this guy's dad was the coach of the Original Celtics or something like that.
Well, Ty, you go and let Jason find that.
I had no idea about this, and it just actually, that was crazy that he said that the Celtics, the Celtics refused to play because of this.
That's what Earl said, yeah.
I thought that was pretty dope.
That is
it is crazy.
I actually got a lot of respect for them now. I didn't know that.
It just wasn't that long ago. That's the crazy part to me is if you really think about it, this
that
was
was
not
100,
that long ago.
100 years ago?
Or what year was this?
Yeah, 100 years
1923.
ago.
Yeah, 100 years ago.
All right, so Dr. Richard Lapchick is the name I was trying to think of. He does all the diversity studies at University of Central Florida, and he was best friends with Lou Alcindor, obviously became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and his dad was the center on the Original Celtics. Joe Lapchick was the center on the Original Celtics, who went on to be a legendary coach. So he was not the coach of the Original Celtics, but he played on that team. But there is there's a fascinating backstory between Richard Lapchick and Kareem and how they became friends. And Kareem was the only black kid on the team, and they were throwing racial slurs at him and everything else. And Lapchick stood up for him, and they beat the hell out of him. And him and Kareem were best friends ever since. To this day, they're very close friends.
Wait, he stood up for Kareem and they beat him up?
Yeah, they beat him up. They beat Lapchick up. And
that's a hell of a story.
That is.
Yeah, I've talked to Richard multiple times for stories over the years, and fascinating background, great. And he does this diversity study every year. He comes out with this annual diversity study. How's the NFL doing on minority hiring? How is NHL, MLB, NBA, women, African Americans, all of it, and he keeps like a running tally. And there's a lot there. There's far too much to get into here, but I didn't even mean to go on that tangent. But the Original Celtics thing, I knew that from something, and that was from Richard Lapchick.
It's amazing how some stuff that happened back then. I think about like if that happened today. It's a good thing that I just wasn't born at that time. That's just, you did the right thing by not allowing me to be in that time frame because but maybe I guess the mindset was just different back then. Like, so maybe the way I think today wouldn't be how I thought back then. So maybe it would be different. But like, I just hear that now and I'm just like,
it's crazy.
I take all 5 of y'all.
Yeah.
I take all 5 of y'all by myself.
It is crazy. Earl, another fantastic spotlight. We'll continue this throughout the week, throughout the rest of February. Do you want to set up our next question, Earl? Because I think it's
before we get to that, I think everybody out here on the panel, as I'm going through these every day, I'm educating myself on stuff I didn't even know. And like Tyvis said, man, because I often say there's no way in hell.
I'm telling you.
Like, I could have lived during those times. Like, I would have been dead.
That's exactly what I said to myself. I probably would have got hung a while ago. They'd have killed me a long time ago, for sure. Because I'd have been a rebel.
That crazy, man. All right, we're going to move on to our next topic. But before we get to that, let's get a read-in from FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. That's FanDuel. So, we had this conversation yesterday, and we've been having this conversation, I think, from last week. Yesterday, it kind of continued about Pat Mahomes is him. You know, he's on some Michael Jordan type ish right now, Jason. I'm sorry, and it's posing the question of
he ain't here. I know who you're talking to.
It's posing the question of, man, will the Browns reach the Super Bowl in the Pat Mahomes era? So we got to talking upstairs about who's closer to actually making the championship appearance. Is it the Cleveland Browns or the Cleveland Cavaliers?
I think it's the Cavs, because unless Patrick Mahomes retired this morning and I wasn't made aware of it,
it ain't happening.
It's not just the Chiefs. It's the Ravens. It's the Bengals. It's the Bills. There's so many teams that are right there that probably are ahead of the Browns when they're whole and when they're healthy. I mean, it's the point now where they're tearing apart the entire offense and trying to put it back together because, I mean, Joe Flacco came in and looked better in it than Deshaun did. And I'm not saying Deshaun played poorly, but it's clear at this point. I don't know how you can watch that season and say Flacco wasn't better. He was. So now they got to tear the whole thing apart and try and build it around Deshaun. So if anything, I don't feel like they're advancing right now. Maybe they will in the fall when it's all put together, maybe it'll look better. But right now, I mean, the Cavs are the second seed in the East. Now, I do think that there's a gap between Boston and Milwaukee and where Cleveland is, but because those teams have been there before, and I think Milwaukee's just a little bored right now, and I think they'll be fine. But the Cavs are really freaking good. And I've spent the last couple of weeks like talking to other teams as they come through and reaching out to some people that I have connections with from back when I covered the league, and they all say the Cavs are really good. They got to do it in the postseason. They got to prove it. And the postseason is totally different than the regular season. But I don't think they're that far away. And when LeBron comes back this summer, then they really won't be that far. I'm kidding. Maybe I'm kidding. I don't know. We'll see.
So, he just threw a grenade.
All right, Earl, so when you asked me this question yesterday, I think I've gone back and forth on this 5 separate times. I lean the Cavs, and I lean towards the Browns, and I lean towards the Cavs, and I lean towards the Browns. And I'm going to settle on the Browns for this reason. I think the Cavs are really good. Just like Jason, I've talked to some of my guys in the league. They all think the Cavs are really good. But to answer this question, I had to kind of peel back the layers and look at the foundation and the DNA of championship teams in each of their respective sports. It has been proven time after time after time that it is not impossible, but it is very, 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 very difficult to win a championship if your best player is an undersized guard. In the last 40 years, there's only been 2 guys to ever do it, Steph Curry and Isaiah Thomas. That doesn't mean the Cavs can't win a championship with Donovan Mitchell as their number 1 guy. I'm just saying history proves it is very difficult. I also believe, fundamentally speaking, that it is very difficult to win a championship if you have 2 non-shooting bigs that play together. Evan Mobley is shooting 71% from 3 this month. He's not a 3-point shooter yet. He has to make some in the playoffs before I'll be able to change my mindset that him and Jared Allen aren't technically 2 non-shooting bigs on the court at the same time. So fundamentally speaking, I know the Cavs are a 2 seed. They are a legitimate threat. They could absolutely win the title, but I think they're a flawed championship based on my championship DNA in basketball. Let's look at football. Here are the ingredients you need for a championship team in football. A top-tier quarterback, someone who can get to the quarterback, and someone who can defend in the secondary. That's the Chiefs' DNA, right? Pat Mahomes, Chris Jones, and their secondary. Well, the Browns have Myles Garrett. That, Chris Jones, equals out. Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson Jr., Greg Newsome, that secondary equals out. The question mark is Deshaun Watson. And I'm going to turn the tables on Jason Lloyd real quick, because Jason Lloyd, when we did our playoff picks, picked the Browns to reach the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I learned my lesson.
Because Joe Flacco was the quarterback playing at the level he was, because the rest of the ingredients in the Browns championship DNA was there. Mm-hmm. Now, it didn't work out, but I still believe Deshaun Watson can be the guy in Cleveland that he was in Houston. I'm not selling all the stock on Deshaun Watson returning to his previous elite form. And if Deshaun does that, and I understand it is a giant if, I think the Browns have a closer championship roster around their top guy. So I'm going to answer the Browns by a slight, tiny margin, just based on my own principles of what I consider the DNA of a championship team. Tyvus?
Man, You know, both of y'all make very good arguments. Hey, everybody knows that I am King Switzerland. You know, I see it both ways. I really do. Because with the Cavs, I mean, you know, basketball is different because basketball, all it takes is one or two people to get hot, and they can take over a whole game. We watch LeBron and Kyrie take over a whole series. So all it takes is two special players. And when I think about the Cavaliers, obviously we know Donovan Mitchell is that guy. He can get hot and he just won't miss. They also got a bunch of guys who can be like that. You know, they got a guy off the bench named Karis LeVert who can be like that. You know, Darius Garland can be like that. If Evan Mobley continues to keep climbing, that's a mismatch for a lot of teams because it's not a lot of teams that got fours that go inside and out, that can play inside and out. And if Evan Mobley continues to go in that trajectory, that is a huge X factor, which will give them an advantage over a lot of teams. So I could see them beating, you know, Milwaukee. I could see them beating Boston and getting into the finals. And I could see them winning it in that aspect. And then when I think about the Browns, you know, I think it starts with the quarterback, you know. And Deshaun Watson, he looked like he was headed in that direction before the injury. We thought that he was back. We thought that after seeing that half against Baltimore, he showed like, okay, this guy has championship DNA. And the team ends up going to be successful without him, but it lets me know that the right stuff is in that building. And Jason talked about how the Browns are blowing up their offense and getting a new offensive coordinator in there and a new play caller and getting all these new pieces. And I started to think, he said that the first team I thought about was the Baltimore Ravens. They did the same thing. And I said, oh, it's going to take years. It's going to take a while. When you get a new when you get a new OC, it never just gels right away. It always takes a year or two. And I look up, and they was in the AFC Championship this year, so with the best record in the NFL. So, therefore, throw that scenario out the case. If they pick it up and they get going and they get the right pieces, I think that this team can be successful. That defense is great. The only thing with that defense, and they got to figure this out, is to win on the road, and they got to figure out how to be good against good quarterback play. How can you be? That is the key to this offseason for the defense. How do we be effective against good quarterback play? Because for some odd reason, when they went up against good quarterbacks, they got shredded. They got to figure out, maybe it's a disguise thing. Maybe it's more man. Maybe it's more zone. Maybe it's more blitzing. They have to figure out how to be effective against good quarterback play. Each quarterback has a weakness. I understand that. You know, you look at even Patty Mahomes. He has a weakness. You have to find out what it is, and you have to exploit it. That's just the name of the game. And I think that's where the defense is off at right now. So when I think about those two things, the two flaws and the two positives, I fall right down the middle. Both teams have a really good chance.
That was a 5-minute monologue to not make an answer?
Both teams have a really good chance to win it, and I expect to see it happen in the very near future.
Here's the thing, like, closer to winning, you're ridiculous. Closer to winning doesn't mean it's going to happen right now. I don't think Cavs win a championship this year.
Yeah.
Is anyone going to sit here and pick the Browns to win the Super Bowl next year?
G.
All right, fair. Anyone else besides G going to pick the Browns to win the Super Bowl?
It's possible.
Earl, you going to pick the Browns to win the Super Bowl next year?
It's possible.
Don't make me.
So, where do you fall in this one? Browns or Cavs?
Honestly, man, this is hard. I'm like Tyvis. I'm kind of like, because I can see honestly the Cavs making it to the NBA Finals this year, and I know I done had some crazy ass Cavs takes, but I think that if they continue the way that they are and they get to the Eastern Conference Finals against Boston, hypothetically, who knows what can happen, and then they can find themselves in the finals. But you switch over to the NFL, the most beautiful thing about the NFL is the parity. You just never really know who's next up. When I look at the Cleveland Browns, I know Tyvis said he kind of got cussed out because of something I said yesterday, but I think it does go down to Deshaun Watson, right? Like if Deshaun Watson can return to form or anything like that, the Browns have shown the culture has changed. I think that there is a lot of good stuff going on in that building to where the parity pendulum can just suddenly swing in the Browns' direction. Who knows? I know next year's Super Bowl logo got orange in it, so we'll see.
But the thing is, this is the one difference between. I ain't gonna say it's a big difference because it can happen in both ones. But you said unless Patty Mahomes retire, he's going back. What if Patty Mahomes get hurt for the rest of the whole season?
Well, then it's open. And I still don't know.
See, and that's the thing. Like, that happens more times than not
Sure.
in the NFL than
Yeah.
it does in the NBA. So the Patty Mahomes thing doesn't really bother me that much. But I understand it
Patty
because
Mahomes doesn't bother you that much. The guy who's made 6 straight AFC.
Yeah, no, I'm saying.
Earl said there's parity in the NFL, and he's right, unless you're a team trying to go to the Super Bowl in the AFC. And
What
that's
I-
someone saying who just picked the Browns for this argument because of all my points. But I think the AFC is loaded.
No,
Like, at the end of the day, the AFC
what
is
I'm
loaded.
saying is, like, it doesn't bother because, like, at the end of the day, he can get hurt or he can have an off game. Like, those two things are possible to happen.
I've been waiting for 6 years for him to have an off game.
He had an off
title game.
He had an off game. Joe Burrow did it.
Yeah, I know.
Like, and on top of that, Joe Burrow was about to do it again if they are late hit away from not being back in the Super Bowl and doing it 2 years in a row. So it's there. It's on tape that it can be done. You just have to do it.
The whole thing with closer to, if you really want to draw this thing out, it comes down to contracts, right, and windows of contention. And I know the Donovan situation's hanging over the Cavs. Personally, I think he needs to sign an extension this summer. And I know I was the first one to write he wants to go to New York. But unless this thing completely unravels in the postseason and they flame out in the first round again, I really think his best path is to sign that extension this summer, which buys them a little bit more time. Doesn't mean he's going to stay here the length of the extension, but it buys them at least one more year where the Cavs can keep this thing together and you can get another year of growth out of Evan Mobley. I know Deshaun's contract is 5 years and we're only going into year 3, but this really feels like the make or break year. Like this,
He has to do it this year.
Like there is so much, and again, we talked about this last year, and it rolls over. The Miles situation, he ain't getting any younger. He's in the prime of his career. The Nick situation, what kind of Chubb are you going to get back if you even get him back? Is he going to be the same guy or not after 2 massive knee injuries? It just feels like the Browns' clock is ticking a little bit faster right now than the Cavs is. And if Donovan chooses not to sign an extension this summer and says he wants out, that changes the conversation. I don't know how you can do that right now if you're him. I just think his best path is to sign the extension this summer. That buys him one more year in Cleveland. You can run this back next year with the Cavs. I'm half kind of mostly joking about the LeBron thing. But even with what you have back, what you're bringing back, what you're running back.
What do you know?
No,
He's close personal friends with LeBron.
I am not close personal friends.
Every other day.
It's he keeps dropping it in there.
I just think it makes too much sense.
Listen,
if you look at it from the 30,000-foot view, I just think.
So, are you saying Spider and LBJ pick and roll coming to a Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse near you?
He said it makes sense to him.
He's saying it makes sense.
If he wants to win another championship before he retires, this team's a hell of a lot closer than the Lakers are.
I second that.
Everybody
third
seconds.
He can
that.
come back here, have a storybook finish to his career.
Yeah.
Now, it would be the cap. It would be
It'd be
brutal.
hell.
It would be hell.
You do it before a championship. You do it.
It's
Oh
worth
yeah.
it.
But, I mean, really, the only way to make it happen is either LeBron has to take the mid-level. Good luck with that.
So let me.
Yeah, the roster, if they get LeBron, the one caveat with them getting LeBron is the roster's going to look way different because they can't keep everybody.
Wait, so let me ask you this, though. Hypothetically speaking, I got 2 things I want to ask you about. But the first one, since we on the LeBron top, I'm going to ask you. LeBron comes in. Let's insert him. Let's take Max Strus out.
Yeah.
And insert him in at the 3. How does that work with Darius and Donovan?
Well, I mean, LeBron doesn't have to play. It doesn't have to be as ball dominant.
He's
as
a point.
He was.
He's like essentially a point guard.
Well,
his usage has gone down each of the last 3 years.
yeah. He's finally it's like 40. He's finally starting to like phase out of ball dominant. Ball has to be in his hands. Every action has to run through him. It's a pipe dream at this point. It would probably either you need LeBron to take the mid-level or you need to do a sign and trade with the Lakers because you don't have the cap space to take him. And I don't know what the threat is. It's not like LeBron has to go to the Lakers and say, trade me to Cleveland or else I'm going to sign with Detroit. Like, what sense does that make?
Yeah.
You know, because the Cavs don't have the cap space, nor do they really have the resources to create the cap space. Like, it would be hell to try and get to the type of money that LeBron's making. That's why I'm saying, like, I'm mostly joking, but, like,
you don't think he take the mid-level?
It is the he told me.
Let me ask you this.
He told me I ain't a mid-level player.
So let me ask you this.
What
what if they said, you take the mid-level, we'll draft Brodny?
I mean, Bronny is not
at all
a first-round pick.
Not at all. But they said if you take the
this is
middle,
going to be a fascinating summer in the NBA because of the LeBron situation. He's got an option year to go back to LA next year. I doubt he exercises it. Like, this is the game that he plays.
Yeah.
And with the Bronny situation hanging over everything, the Cavs do have a first-round pick. We'll see.
It's a weak draft. Is there a better than
It's a terrible
0.1% chance Bronny's the first overall pick?
Oh, boy.
What?
Oh, boy.
A better than 0.1% that a team would take him first just to get LeBron.
What? The first pick in the draft, you think it'll be Bronny?
No,
Just
I'm
to get
saying it shouldn't be. There's no world that he should be the number 1 overall pick. But I'm saying
no. I'll
Yeah,
answer.
I
no.
don't think a team in that position that obviously
wanted
has
to ask.
all of
That's
this
why I
Well,
said
needs
LeBron will be
0.1%
officially
would do that.
40
Oh, what's up?
next season, right?
Jason, do the Cavs have a second-round pick this year?
yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think they do.
All right, so I got it. I got the scenario, right? Bronny, the Cavs draft him in the second round. LeBron comes back. Bryce can come play for Meechie Johnson Sr. at Warrensville High School, and then it settles everything. It works for everybody.
I don't think he's leaving Cali.
Hey, Earl, real quick, put it in the chat. Cavs or Browns, who's closer? I'll be very.
Oh, it's in the
curious
chat
to
right now. I was gonna give it to y'all later.
Oh, all right. Well,
Let me-
whenever we wrap up,
but
I'm
last
very
one.
curious on
Let
that.
me
yeah.
wrap this up about Donovan. If it came to the scenario where the Cavs did have to trade Donovan, do you trust Kobe Altman not to butcher it like he did with Kyrie?
I hated the Kyrie trade. Kobe's had a pretty good track record. Now that
Well, this is a big star, so
it's what are you trying to get back? If you get to the point you have to trade Donovan, it really depends on where they're at that time. Are we talking this summer? Are we talking he signs the extension and it's a year from now? Because, I mean, I was talking to someone else in the league who agreed that the compensation for the Utah trade is coming like a wrecking ball. When you trade 5 years of control of your draft and it hasn't even started yet, and that guy may not even be here when that does begin, that can be devastating. But if you have a championship between now and then, you live with it. Or what do you get back? Are you trying to trade Donovan for another star that you add right in, or are you trying to get picks to recoup for the picks that you? So there's a couple different ways that they could go.
yeah. Which one do you think? Which one would you look at and be like, that's the best he probably could have did?
It depends. I mean, and going back to like, are the Cavs going to the NBA Finals this year? There's a progression to this. So they went in the first round last year. They got their doors blown off. Mm-hmm. Now the progression should be second or third round. You know, conference semifinals, maybe even conference finals. Mm-hmm. That's the typical, natural, organic progression of NBA playoff life. Usually, not always, but usually. And then that would set them up to be a finals contender next year. They should be a finals contender next year, even without like the nonsense, the silly stuff we're talking about with LeBron. They should be a finals contender. So if there's a trade out there, you can trade Donovan and you can bring in another star, you know, who's maybe got a year left on his deal, or, you know, do you look to go that route and you push all in and you go for a championship, or you trade Donovan for picks and you're trying to recoup? So it really depends on the situation that they're in when this comes up, whether it's this summer or next summer. If they get blown out in the first round this year, he's probably not going to sign that extension, and you're probably going to have to look at dealing him. And at that point, you're probably trying to recoup picks.
Yeah.
Because there's no other real star available on the market right now, I don't think, that's going to become available. And you're trying to restock the cabinet for all those drafts that you gave away later on. And then you can sort of reload. You build around Evan, Darius, and Jarrett. That's a pretty good three to start with. Yep. And then you try and hunt for another star when it becomes available, I guess.
And one thing to keep in mind, if that situation comes up, and we don't know, we'll see. If they make a deep playoff run, I'm with Jason. I think Donovan would be silly not to at least sign the extension, and then you can figure out what happens later. But with the new CBA and the luxury tax and some of the new rules in the CBA, I'd be very surprised to see any compensation for a star match what the Timberwolves gave up for Rudy Gobert, what the Phoenix Suns gave up for Kevin Durant, what the Cavs gave up for Donovan Mitchell. Those days of 5 first-round picks.
What did the Suns give up
for Kevin Durant?
Yeah.
4 first-round picks, Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah. So the
That's
days of
over.
those
Yeah, that's over.
absurd trade hauls for a
Because
star.
nobody's
It's not gonna
got
happen
the
anymore.
return on that. Nobody's seen a return.
Well,
on that.
and now with the luxury tax, and it costs even more money, and there's certain.
Isn't it a
those
new rule now
picks.
that they like stopping people from being able to make a super team?
Not really. They keep trying.
They're trying to. It's,
And so what they've done now is they've incentivized guys to the point where it makes sense to re-sign with your current team and then trade a year later.
Yeah.
So that's what happened with Durant. He signed with the Nets and then they traded him anyway.
Yeah.
Donovan went through the exact same thing in Utah.
Signed
He
with
signed the
Utah.
extension. And
So-
then they
same
moved
with
him.
Gobert.
Yeah,
Literally,
same
Utah,
with
they
Gobert.
had two,
Yep.
so.
that under that circumstance, Donovan would sign an extension this summer, lock in his money, play another year in Cleveland, and then ship him out.
if he
So
wants to, or he
that-
can stay in Cleveland forever. Who
And
knows?
that's why cap space isn't the end all be all like it used to be, because guys aren't necessarily making it to free agency like they did back in the day. They're re-signing with their current teams and then being traded.
Gotcha.
Earl, what were the poll results on
The money
Cavs,
just makes too much sense to stay with
Browns?
your current team rather than leave your team and sign.
So you get
You
way
get
more money
significantly-
for
Yeah.
re-signing.
for
than you
re-signing
could-
than you would as a street free agent.
I gotcha.
That's
All right,
Earl.
so the poll
There we go.
results. It's been up 15 minutes. We got 157 votes. 63%, 37%. Before I give y'all who's who y'all
Browns.
think
The
is
chat
right?
thinks it's the
They
Browns.
took the Cavs.
It's the Browns.
Yeah.
They
the
took the
chat
Ca-
thinks it's the
They took the
Browns.
Cavs.
63% Cavs.
Wow.
37% Brown.
I'm surprised.
Me too.
Means I won again.
Well, at least the chat had the
get
conviction
used
to
to
say an
this.
answer.
I
Said
won.
Tyvus.
You don't get to claim
Tyvus
to
won.
win-
won.
That was the longest monologue ever to say nothing.
to say nothing.
I did
You
say
could
a
be a
lot.
GM.
I brought up
Yeah.
a lot of.
You'd be great at press conferences.
That shit, I-
Just talk and talk and talk and talk. At the end, we
What
all
you
look
mean?
around
I
and go,
brought up
"Did he?"
all. I highlighted all the points, all the pros and the cons, and
Let me
then
ask y'all this,
at the end
though.
of the day, I felt they were the same. They weighed the same.
The 37% by the chat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's because of lack of faith in the Browns or Pat Mahomes is that dude?
I think it's
Both.
all both, but I think it's all the big question on Deshaun. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, that'll be the biggest question mark in the NFL for 2024. Not just in Cleveland, for the whole league.
I
What
think
is
Deshaun-
Deshaun Watson?
Deshaun lost that. Didn't Kansas City make that comeback against
Yeah, they're
Deshaun?
21 or 24-0.
It was a half, right? Like the second half, they just came on and they just.
I think they were up 24-21 in like middle of the second quarter before Kansas City scored. But yeah,
That's what it is. That's like, but the thing is, he was having some success. He just, it's ultimately. This is the thing about Deshaun. Deshaun has showed you that he can go toe to toe with any quarterback in the NFL, and I respect that about him. The difference between, hopefully, the difference between the Texans and the Browns, if that was to happen again, is that Nick Chubb would be there, and assuming Nick Chubb is Nick Chubb, like that would solidify that the Browns will win those games. If they go up big and you got Nick Chubb, you won't lose those games. And Houston didn't have that, but I don't know what you're getting with Nick Chubb anymore.
Yeah.
And now that Deshaun's coming back off of injury, he's got to prove again that he's healthy enough to get those things done.
Had we asked that poll 2 days after the Knicks loss, it would have been 90-10 Browns.
Yes.
So I think it's 48 hours removed from the Super Bowl. It's a bad taste left in their mouth still from the Texans' loss, even though Deshaun wasn't on the field for it. So
we'll see.
I guess from that instance, it makes sense. I just figured the chat would be all Browns all the way.
Oh, we had a hell of a halftime performance by Usher and Alicia Keys, and I know we're talking about potential for next year's halftime performance. Do we have a read first?
Yeah, we do have a read first. Again, man, make sure you download the Game Time app. The Cavs are right back at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse Wednesday. Download the app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today and get your tickets. So, Usher killed it. I think we can all agree Usher killed it.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Good show.
Seen something yesterday that kind of sparked my interest. Lil Wayne said he wants to headline the Super Bowl next year in his hometown of New Orleans. So I'm curious, how do you all feel about Lil Wayne possibly headlining the Super Bowl? And if it's not Weezy F Baby, then who?
There's only one person who should start this question off with, and it's Jason Lloyd. Jason, what do you think about Weezy F Baby for eventually being the halftime performer for next year's Super Bowl?
And Browns will be in it, right? So I'll be busy writing. I won't be able to watch it, right?
Great cop-out answer. Tyvus, we were talking about this before the show, and Earl, I'll bring you in on this too, but we were talking about our top 3 favorite rappers, hip hop artists, and I believe he was in your top 3, right, Ty? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So you're all for it?
If Lil Wayne is, first of all, it's in New Orleans, and I don't really know too many bigger stars out of New Orleans than Lil Wayne. So with that being said, he's had a ton of success in the rap game. He's a universal name. Everybody knows who he is. He makes good music. He'll play all of his radio bangers, which will really make a lot of people upset because a lot of his mixtape stuff is really what we want to hear. But I'm not going to go down that road. I think it is a slam dunk. I'll be just interested to see who he brings. I mean, think about it. He could bring Drake out. He could bring.
He's got features with everybody.
Yeah, he could bring anybody to that show, and everybody will recognize. He could even bring the rock people out. He got a rock album, so he can appeal to every genre of music, and I think it's a slam dunk. If you're gonna have it in New Orleans, Lil Wayne is the guy.
I hate getting old, and I hate the notion that I'm getting older, but maybe the only benefit.
Wait till you're my age.
The only benefit of getting older is now I'm part of the generation that the NFL is trying to cater to for their halftime shows. And Lil Wayne would be right up my alley. Mm-hmm. When they had the 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg in LA, that was awesome. Those were all the songs from my middle school, high school years. Lil Wayne was just as much of a permanent fixture in the music rotation when I was growing up as anybody. So I'm all for Lil Wayne. It makes sense. Being in New Orleans, he's from New Orleans. He has, or what would you say, 45 to 50 songs that the common folk would know. Like, if you may not know it's Lil Wayne, but if you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, I've heard that before. He would play every song that you've heard of. He has features with everybody. The guest list of people you could bring out with him would be phenomenal. And I was telling these guys before, I'm not a big music guy. I probably know the words to like 8 songs total in my entire musical library.
That's crazy.
4 or 5 are Lil Wayne songs. So like, yeah, I would be all in. I'm all for it.
Y'all want some poetry real quick?
You want what?
You want some poetry real quick?
Let's hear it.
Okay. My leather is so soft, but don't think I ain't hard. They say Weezy make it rain. I say I ain't God.
But I am.
Cyrus?
But I am God's son. But you know I ain't Nas. See, he got a positive aim, and I ain't Nas.
Man, Lil Weezy got a style that even I can't find. Man, some stuff just be so hard. I be like, that line ain't mine.
When he said real G's move in silence like lasagna, I lost it. Like, that was the one line from a
Facts.
That's just one of the all-time greatest lines of all time.
No, the greatest line, my favorite Lil Wayne line of all time is at the end of Upgrade You. He goes, what'd he say? What'd he say?
Is it YouTube appropriate where we're not going to get canceled?
No, what did he say at the end of Upgrade You freestyle?
How you going to say it's your favorite lyric of all time? You don't even know it.
Because I got to sing it to myself so I make sure I say it right. He said, oh, even deaf women say hi to me. She tell a blind chick and she say, I got to see. I was like, oh, my God.
Hey, wait, real quick. Because I know we ahead of schedule, but this is a bar from Evan 419. Weezy F baby and the F is for Fire JB.
Yeah, Evan 419, who's our guy, he hates JB Bickerstaff. Well, hate's not the right word. He is just anti-JB's the right coach for this team, and he's very vocal about it, and I appreciate someone standing on business. If you have an opinion, roll with it. Evan 419 is not scared to roll with it. But I think Lil Wayne would be a phenomenal choice for next year's Super Bowl.
I got a question for Mike and Tyvis.
Yes.
Looking at Jason, if Jason was a Lil Wayne fan, what would be Jason's favorite Lil Wayne song?
Miss Officer.
Lollipop. Something.
Can we get a shot at Earl? I just made Earl lose his headphones. Am I right or am I right?
You are 1,000% correct.
All right, what's Miss Officer? No, of course I haven't heard Miss Officer. Look at me. Do I look like I listen to Miss Officer?
We'll show you off. We'll show you after the show. We don't want to get anyone in trouble.
It was like a radio bang.
Yeah, it was a radio song.
Oh, I don't know. I probably heard it then. But.
Yeah.
Wee.
Does he have any collaborations with like Dave Matthews Band, Bare Naked Ladies?
He does have a rock album.
He got a rock album.
He has a rock album. Yeah.
He's got
Neil Diamond, Little Sweet Caroline. No. Nothing.
No.
All right, Earl. Let's save Jason from any more future embarrassment.
That's crazy.
I do think Miss Officer would be Jason's song.
You don't listen to Lil Wayne?
We'll show him after the show.
Lil Wayne is like the only person that can get away with singing like the Pepto-Bismol commercial and a rap and make it sound good. He's the only rapper I know that literally said the entire alphabet, like A, B, C, D, like the whole thing, and it was fire.
The chat said Jason would like a Millie.
A Millie,
I could see a Millie.
That'll be the
being a
last
Jason
song he performs if he did.
he's got to start without me.
He not gonna play no mixtape stuff.
Well, now I got to listen to Lil Wayne the whole way home.
Yeah.
Can you like?
I can't wait for that
He gonna be in the
post-drive home
Benz
text.
doing about the speed limit.
Yeah.
Listening to our Millie.
When Jason gets pulled over going 115 on the way home, and he's got Miss Officer blasting from the Beamer or from the Mercedes, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
I'm going to jail.
All right, Earl. One more read. I love this next topic. One more read, or we get right to it?
No, one more read.
Perfect.
So the second of the Ultimate shows, man. Don't forget the Ultimate 216 show will make its second episode, first live appearance this Thursday at 5 p.m. Kind of working on booking a guest who actually, really disagree with the DG talk. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to have a conversation about life, culture, and, of course, take some super chats and answer some questions along the way. So don't mix the next episode of the Ultimate 216 show.
And Ultimate Cavs tonight, 5 o'clock. Me and Jason coming at you live.
And y'all going to be playing on Millie.
I'll
And
make
this
sure
is
Jason's heard a Millie by then.
So, the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? They
Yep.
cleaned house. They cut some players yesterday, Mitch Trubisky being one of them. They've already hired a new offensive coordinator, and a name that's been surfacing as a possible new quarterback is the Chicago Bears quarterback, Justin Fields. I already know type is go Bucks. But does this move or potential move of Justin Fields to Pittsburgh, does it worry you a little, scare you a little bit? Like, how do you all feel about that?
Russ would scare me a lot more.
I don't disagree with you because he shredded us last year, and I told you the weaknesses right now for our defense is going up against a quarterback that knows what he's doing. I mean, in Denver, he'd have essentially probably more weapons in Pittsburgh than he did in Denver.
They got some weapons, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that they would be fine with him. But Justin Fields just brings the athletic standpoint to it where you got to chase down this guy and you got to pray that it's not the day that he's on. When Justin Fields is accurate and he's consistent, he's as good as any quarterback in the league. He make throws and darts that every quarterback in the league can make. But when he's inconsistent and he overthrowing stuff, that's when it's bad. But as far as that running ability goes, I mean, that's always something that's going to scare a defense. That's going to keep your defensive coordinator up at night. And you think about George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, the two-headed run game that they got, and you add Justin Fields with that, that's a pretty decent offense.
This may not be totally fair, but Mason Rudolph was supposed to be the heir apparent to Roethlisberger. Remember that? Remember those days?
Yes.
It was supposed to be Rudolph. How'd that work out?
Nope.
Never developed him.
Well, he won their last couple.
He had a couple moments,
Yeah.
but I mean, clearly they don't believe in him. They're back out
Yeah,
shop for
that's
another
clear as
quarterback.
day.
So Rudolph didn't work. They tried developing Kenny Pickett. That didn't work. They tried
Rejuvenating
Trubisky off the scrap heap, and that didn't work. And now the new offensive coordinator, who I've heard good things about, Arthur Smith, former head coach of the Falcons, is there because he chose the wrong quarterback in Atlanta. So is this really a quarterback whisperer? The whole reason he got fired is because he chose Desmond Ridder.
Yeah.
So I don't have a whole lot of faith in Mike Tomlin or Arthur Smith or anyone with the Steelers developing a quarterback because they don't have a very good track record of it. That's why I say Russ would scare me going to Pittsburgh a whole lot more than I believe that the Steelers can take someone who probably has been damaged by what he's gone through in Chicago. Certainly probably needs a fresh start, but I don't know that they're the ones to sort of pick him up, cleanse him, rehab him, and make him a viable NFL starter.
At the end of I think that with the weapons that he has around him, I think the biggest difference between him and Kenny Pickett is obviously the mobility.
Yeah.
So, you don't have to necessarily fix your offensive line that much. You have to do something to it because it's not that great. But he can overcome that because he's done it in Chicago. He's ran for his life in Chicago for 2 years. So he can still keep that offense going and it can be serviceable and use that run game came to life. And it shows you that if you got a quarterback that players believe in, they played better with Mason Rudolph in there.
Yeah, they did.
So it's there. It's just a couple of things that they need to tweak a little bit as far as the offensive line. And like I said, they got a quarterback that's mobile that can survive or that can get away or escape the pocket a couple of times to bring extra yards, that's still really good.
Let me preface what I'm going to say with this. It worries me a little bit because anyone is an upgrade over what they had last year. As a Browns fan, someone who wants the Steelers to stay at the bottom of the AFC North, keep Kenny Pickett. He's great. He's the guy. He just needs more time to develop. His tiny hands will grow. He's going to be a guy who could throw 11 touchdowns in one season. He's the guy. Stick with him. Give him a little patience.
Now, if he ends up becoming the guy, you're going to be bad.
That's fine. So anyone, frankly, I think anyone's an upgrade. I just, and maybe I'll be wrong, I'm not buying the Justin Fields hype. He's fine. He's solid. He could be an okay quarterback. But after 3 years of having, and granted, Chicago was a train wreck. Their coaching staff did not put him in a position to succeed. But if you still have to ask yourself, is this the guy after 3 years? In most cases, there are exceptions, but in most cases, the answer is no. And if you're bringing in a guy like Justin Fields, who will be on the 4th year of his deal, you have to decide, give him the 5th year option. How are you going to handle the money? Are you going to pay him and invest in him as your franchise quarterback? Guys, he's an average passer of the football.
Who?
Justin Fields. He has the talent. His arm's phenomenal. But from what I've seen, he's a slow processor. He's an indecisive quarterback. And he's phenomenal with his legs, but I don't think you could just win as a mobile quarterback in today's NFL. So I'm not too worried about Justin Fields going to Pittsburgh if that's the quarterback they decide to become the next guy in line. I'd be more scared of a guy like Russ Wilson, who's a little more proven, and I think he might not have the same ceiling at this point of his career, but his floor is nowhere near as low as Justin Fields is.
When it comes to the quarterback thing, it's all about getting them with the right play caller. Mm-hmm. That's, like I said, I always talk about Aaron Rodgers and what's the guy? What's the
Nathaniel Hackett,
Joe Flacco, Kevin Stefanski. Like, you get with the right play caller that understands your style and you run it, their style fits what you're best at, magic happens. Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid. Like, it's just what it is. I don't know if Arthur Smith and Justin is great. I don't know if Arthur Smith and Russell. What I will tell you about Russell is I know he got a bunch of coordinators fired in Seattle, which is crazy to sit there and think about that. But Arthur Smith and Russell could be great. Arthur Smith and Justin Fields could be great. I don't know. I would have to see what it looks like when it gets there. But from an athletic standpoint, I would fear Justin more than I would Russell. Even though Russell understands the game of football and he hurt the Browns. Oh, he cut them deep. It's just something about I at nighttime as a DB, as a DN, as a linebacker, to know that I got to chase down this quarterback bothers me more than a guy who's going to sit in the pocket. If the pass rush gets there, we'll win. But if the pass rush gets there and he still escapes and he can, by the way, get 1,000 yards a season with his legs, that's scary.
I believe Justin Fields could still have a good NFL career, a very good NFL career. I'm just not sure the Steelers are the organization to pull it out of him. For as good as they are, make the playoffs every year, we know that, predicated on defense for the most part. Aside from Roethlisberger, who was a Hall of Fame talent, they've had a number of years now to try and develop somebody, and they've missed multiple times. I'm not sure that's the organization.
They getting Le'Veon Bell back.
Yeah, okay.
He said he'd come out of retirement just
only
for them.
Pittsburgh.
Did he bother asking anyone in Pittsburgh if they want him back? That was kind of important.
Those were the glory days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think Justin Fields bad. I think he's okay. I think he's fine, and he certainly has potential. I'm just not banking.
So
if you're going to make a move for Justin Fields, you have to kind of decide if you want to pay him, right? Like he's going. So it's not like a rental. It's something you have to decide. This is either the guy who's going to be our next franchise guy, and you got to pay him.
I guess you get 1 year look at him.
If Justin Fields is the only team that should trade for Justin Fields, is maybe potentially two. It's either the Falcons or the Raiders. Them the only two teams that I would even outside of those.
Pittsburgh's
two,
not one of them.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. For the reason that he said. But I feel like in Atlanta, there's so much talent around him. Like, they're literally just a quarterback away. Like,
they hired Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator from
the Rams.
The Rams.
Yeah.
And his philosophy, and he's under the McVay tree, is a precision timing offense. I don't necessarily know if Fields fits that mantra, but who knows?
If he is I think that would probably work best for him, right? You come out there and say your first read is here and you need to get it out at time. That takes the thinking out of it.
I was looking at it from more of an accuracy standpoint. Like,
Oh, he
It's
could be.
time and
That's the
rhythm.
thing. He could be. He's made passes where he's extremely accurate.
his career 60% completion percentage in 3 seasons now.
Well, give me some guys who's. How many people is that much better? What's Watson? 63
Well, I mean, the league average this year was 64.5.
this year?
Yeah.
Dang. Okay, 4% off. That ain't bad.
I mean, and listen, I'm not like I'm not saying Fields is terrible. Like I just don't know if he's the guy that fits that system. That's all I'm saying.
I don't. He is so hard because they don't have nothing in Chicago but DJ Moore.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know what.
And their coaching staff was a business.
Yeah, they didn't do
their
nothing.
Coaching staff
they
did
did
no
that
favors.
man no favors.
Yeah.
So it's in a situation where I don't know what to do. I don't know what you should do.
Do you think he's repairable? Like, he's obviously damaged goods coming out of Chicago because of the whole coaching debacle he's been through for 3 years. Would you bet over under? I don't want to say Pro Bowl because everyone gets in the Pro Bowl, but like over under. We'll say a Pro Bowl, 1 Pro Bowl year for Justin Fields in his career.
You can get that. From just running.
No, but not an injury replacement Pro Bowl. Like, he's one of the 3 quarterbacks selected. Over under 1. Over under half.
No. In the
Is it
AFC?
Any conference.
Maybe in the NFC, but the AFC, no.
So do you take the under?
Yeah.
Well, he's in the NFC right now.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts.
Whole career. He's got a whole career.
Who was it this year? Jalen Hurts, Matt Stafford.
Could.
I think he could.
Jalen Hurts, Matt Stafford, and Purdy. Oh yeah, I think he could get one of them.
All right, so take the over.
I mean, if you're the Rams, would you look at something like Fields? How much longer does Stafford have?
They drafted Stetson Bennett.
Don't do that.
I don't know if they have the trade capital that Chicago would seek.
What do you think? A second?
I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
Yeah.
But like to have a heir apparent lined up, put Sean McVay with Justin Fields. Sean McVay would get the best out of him.
That would be great. Because they got the running back, 2 receivers, 1 receiver on the way out.
I will
Great
say,
offensive scheme.
I talked about a guy who, coming off 3 years, if you don't know if he's the guy, probably not. Well, Ryan Tannehill wasn't the guy after 3 years. He goes and teams up with Arthur Smith in Tennessee. Arthur Smith did revitalize his career in Tennessee. Very different quarterback than a Justin Fields, but he does have a track record of getting something out of a guy that the rest of the league had kind of written off. And Tannehill was in a worse spot after his years with Miami than Fields is after Chicago, but he does have that track record, or at least that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Ultimately, I don't think Chicago trades him. I don't think they trade him because I think the problem is you'll have a problem in the locker room. Once the locker room came out and said we want Justin Fields to be the quarterback, and you trade him after that, it's kind of like.
So you wouldn't trade him?
If I'm Chicago,
yeah.
No, I would build. I would do. I said this like 10 times. If I was Chicago, they're in prime position to do what the Eagles did, what the Dolphins did, what the Lions did. I would literally take this year and build up everything but quarterback. And I would find out this year if he's good or not. I would get the pieces. I would get the offensive line. I get a running back. I get a receiver with all those picks that I have.
And what if he's not the guy?
If he's not the guy, we know he's not the guy. Definitively, we know he's not the guy. Move on from him next year. But now all we need is the quarterback because we got everything else built.
But
Well,
they're in
the
position to
*1 pick,
replace him now. Will you be in position to replace him next year?
I mean,
and real quick, the only reason they're in position to replace him now,
if you replace him now, the new quarterback is dealing with the exact same stuff.
Agreed.
You're in the same spot.
but the only difference.
The only difference is that even if you still have Justin Fields, you can still win games just his legs alone.
Well, they have the 9th pick because of Justin Fields, the number 1 overall pick's from Carolina. So, if
What are you saying?
Well, you have a chance right now because of the Carolina pick to take your choice of any quarterback in the draft to be your heir apparent, as opposed to if Justin Fields, you may have the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th pick next year, and then you're scrambling. He's not a good position to draft the
Mike,
guy
I got a
if
question.
it's not.
So
Fields.
all I'm saying is you take Caleb Williams, the first pick of this draft. What difference is he gonna make? Because everything else,
When you draft a tackle or a receiver with 9.
Okay, and
they have the most free agent money in the entire NFL.
Who going to Chicago?
Money talks.
They ain't going to Chicago. I don't see it because especially the older veterans, because the receivers that you do need, because they'll say, I don't really want to play in the cold.
Well, draft a receiver, sign an offensive lineman.
I don't know.
Oh, you had a question?
I'm kind of in line with Tyvis, and me and Antwison back here talking, saying, you know, Justin Fields is not really getting the credit he deserves. I don't think Justin Fields is that bad, and personally, if I was Chicago, I would keep him, and I would use those 2 draft picks to build around him. I think the whole notion of, you know, Drake May and Caleb Williams and all that's cool, but ain't no guarantee that these dudes are going to be better than Justin Fields. Ain't no guarantee that these dudes are going to be good at all. And I have a hard time drafting potential. And granted, everybody in the draft is potential. Yep. There's no sure lock. Well, Marvin Harrison Jr. is sitting right there on the board. And everybody's talking about Justin Fields need help. That's the best overall player in this draft. So passing on him to me wouldn't make sense at all. And for everybody that says, like, well, Justin Fields is not a good quarterback, ask DJ Moore what he think about Justin Fields. Ask DJ Moore, like, how he like catching passes from him. Furthermore, to Tyvis' point, if the locker room has already came out and said, you know, I want Justin Fields to be my quarterback, do you really want to, like, create a toxic environment because you wanted to do what you wanted to do?
If you start listening to players in the locker room when you're building your team, it's going to be an absolute catastrophe.
It happened in Vegas. Max Crosby said, if you don't hire Antonio Pierce, you might as well trade me.
If you start listening to players in the locker room to make your personnel decisions, it is an absolute catastrophe.
Yeah, you have to do what you feel is best in the best interest of the organization. I know I'm the exact same one saying you can't bring Flacco back for exactly that reason. But we're talking about a backup quarterback here versus the franchise piece. So if they feel like they have to move on from him, they have to move on from him. But I tend to agree. I think you can still work in Chicago with him. I would trade the number – if you keep him, though, I'd trade the number 1 pick and try and leverage more picks out of it.
That's what I would
You don't take Harrison 1 overall. You trade back, let someone else draft.
That's what I would
Let
do.
someone else come up and get a quarterback and drop to 2 or 3. You don't want to fall too far.
No, you can't drop behind Arizona because
First 3 teams right now all need quarterbacks.
yeah,
So you have
Patriots, Commanders,
and Bears. Yeah.
In
theory, if the Bears take a quarterback,
Right.
that
if the Cardinals stay with Kyler Murray, you can't drop past the Cardinals because they're gonna take Marvin.
Listen. If you think Justin Fields is good enough to be that guy,
I think he's at least good enough for me to get the rest of my team right.
but
And I would still be winnable. I still win
no.
games.
But we just talked about this whole conversation with the Browns, Pat Mahomes. You need a guy who can go toe-to-toe with the best in the league. Do you think Justin Fields can go toe-to-toe with the best in the league? If the answer is no, you got to keep trying until you find that guy.
It depends on
If it depends, the answer is no.
who you getting. Like, it depends on the Justin Fields version you get. Justin Fields have had games where he's looked amazing, but he's also had games where he's
Mike
looked
White
terrible.
threw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns once, too. Like,
Don't do that, Mike.
Yeah, don't.
I'm just saying, like, everyone has good games.
You know what I mean.
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, but, like, if you don't think Justin Fields can consistently go toe-to-toe with the best quarterbacks in football.
Justin Fields threw a Hail Mary against the Browns that should have been caught to win the game.
It should have, yeah. What does one throw make it do?
They put him in position to still win that game.
Joe Flacco had his worst game of the season. Outside of the Texans.
What point? What they got to do with anything? I'm just talking
points.
about Justin Fields.
Yeah, Justin Fields played okay that game.
What was DJ Moore's numbers this year?
Very good. DJ Moore.
Balling.
Was this his best year?
Yeah, by far. By far his best year. By far.
Was this Justin Fields' best year?
That's a low bar.
Yeah, I mean.
True, but was this his best? Was this his best year?
He ran for more yards.
This is the skinniest I've been in 10 years.
But I'm saying.
In his career, he's
production-wise, they went out and got him a receiver, and his production went up. So it's like, okay.
So go get him another one.
Go get him another one.
Jason,
go get him an offensive mind.
Michael Jordan?
What's that?
What was that line with Michael Jordan? They said if you needed a center, okay, you draft Mike and you play him at center. McNuggets said you don't take Marvin Harrison number 1. Listen, you draft Marvin Harrison number 1 and you put him whatever the hell you need to put him at on the football field. I just don't see how you have the opportunity to draft the overall best player and you don't do it. Now I get it. If you can drop down to 3, and accumulate more picks, cool. But if you're not getting no trade partners, I'm taking Marvin Harrison.
You'll get a
Jr.
trade
number
partner.
1 overall.
Yeah,
You'll get a trade partner.
Someone will trade up for a quarterback. It comes down to what you feel on Justin Fields. Technically, last year, Tyvis, he was more productive, but he played an extra game, so pretty similar. In his 3-year career, he's thrown for 6,600 yards, 40 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. And if you care about quarterback wins, which I do not, he's 10-29 in his career. If you care about I do not. Their team was terrible. Their coaching situation was a joke. But if you care about those kind of things. But, yeah. Super chats, Earl. We'll save the Guardians for tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll say the Guardians for tomorrow because I think the overtime topic is fun. We only had one super chat, but I will read some of the comments from the chat as well.
Cool.
Blue Aqua says, can the Cavs run it back and get Kyrie and LBJ 2024, 2025?
Oh, Lord. Oh.
And Jason has to cover him for the
Jason
entire
has to be a beat
season.
reporter again.
No.
If Kyrie and LeBron come back, Jason has to be a beat reporter and travel with Fedor to every game.
Oh, Lord, no. I'm moving to Florida if that happens. I want nothing to do with that.
Financially, that would actually be impossible without blowing up the entire roster, right?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that's not happening.
One of the two, you may be able to finagle.
I won't
Might
be Kyrie.
be able to finagle,
It
but
won't be Kyrie.
yeah, I think both is impossible.
For the most part, man, I'll be loving this chat. They cracking me up. They were really in here singing I'm Bout It. If you bout it, say I'm bout it. So clearly Master P is an option for the halftime show.
That's a great option, too.
I seen Scarface.
Is he from New Orleans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I seen Scarface as an option in here.
That's
so
a great
that was
one,
pretty
too.
cool.
Got some great
They doing their thing in the chat, man. Shout out to them. Any final thoughts before we get to overtime?
Yeah. Cavs have a big game tomorrow, and by big game, they're playing Chicago. Anything you want to see? What's that laugh, Anthony?
That's a big game.
What's that laugh, Anthony? Obviously a loss on Monday.
Chicago's a big game.
No, I'm just trying to make it a little sexier here for the last 5 minutes before we wrap up. But anything you want to see in particular from the Cavs to close out the first half of the season? Yeah, what do you want to see?
I do want to see if this version that we got of Darius Garland is here to stay. Obviously, anybody can do it one time. I like to see him continue to do it, and I like to see him continue to find his space. I want to continue to see this Evan Mobley and him pick and roll, but I also want to see more guys off the bench. You know, is Dean Wade gonna be out again?
What was he out with yesterday? He was a late scratch. Was it an illness?
I don't know. I didn't see. I saw he didn't play, but I didn't see it.
I'll find it for you real quick.
If he's gonna be out, I just want to see Okoro continue to hit the three. If he gets a chance to hit one or two wide open threes, I want to see him knock them down. I want to see Evan Mobley continue to knock them down. And I want him to play. I'm not gonna say I want him to play 4 quarters of defense because I know they're gonna come out with a little more passion in the first half. And I don't want their legs to get tired out, but I don't want to see them scrambling in the end of a game. You know, trying to come back to rally, use energy to rally to come back. They should be in control. They are the better team. They should be in control of that entire game.
I hope his confidence is at an all-time high because he could really be – he was unplayable last year. He could really be an important piece to what they can do in a playoff series, but he has to hit shots. Mm-hmm. And in order to do that, he's got to have the confidence to do it. And so hopefully the success he's having this year, his numbers – aren't terribly different than they were last year, but he's getting hot. So hopefully he can carry this confidence in the postseason because they are not going to guard him. Mm-hmm. It's going to be the exact same thing as last year. And if he makes 2 or 3 of them, it's going to change everything. And they will start to come out on him and guard him, and it'll open up the entire floor. And then not only is he playable, he's a really important piece to what they do.
Can't take him off.
30-point game for LeVert. Put it on your parlay.
If you're going to the game tomorrow, use Game Time app. I will be there, so come say what's up. And I do want to point attention to one thing, real quick, then I'll toss to you. But we talk about a lot of anytime there's drama, we talk about it. But sometimes we don't always get a chance to highlight some of the really good things athletes do in communities. Mm-hmm. I saw this on Twitter a second ago. This is from a legitimate source. He was on CBS this morning promoting it. Jason Tatum is donating a $1 million financial literacy program for low-income families and single-parent homes back in St. Louis, where he's from.
That's awesome.
That's really nice.
$1 million to start up this program, and Jason Tatum's mom had him when he was 19. When she was 19, they were living paycheck to paycheck. His whole story and background's fascinating, but anytime a player does something like that and a substantial sum like $1 million to start a program.
Is Ella May getting in on it?
I'm not sure. He was on Good Morning CBS this morning promoting it, announcing it. But shout out to Jason Tatum. That's a hell of a move. And hopefully more athletes around the country do similar things or donate to the cause that they so choose. But that's really cool to see from one of the NBA's most prominent stars.
And shout out to you because a lot of times in our game when an athlete does something off their respective playing field that's not so good, we are really quick to highlight it and talk about it. And more often than not, when these guys are out here doing like real community work and doing stuff to help other people, it kind of often gets swept up under the rug. So for you to find that and highlight that, shout out to you. I was gonna mess with you a little bit, but Ann said leave you alone. You got a ticket for the game. You won some money on your FanDuel parlay. Where our ticket at?
I did. I'm taking Miss Nuggets on a nice little Valentine's Day date to a basketball game. So
I'm sure she loves that.
it was her idea.
Really?
That's the best date idea she ever had. Shout out to Miss
I'm
Nuggets.
talking stuff. I'll be hosting.
But I did use Game Time. Not even joking. I used the promo code
Did you-
LOCKEDON, $20 off.
You got that
That's
$20 off?
Free ad. That's a true story. We use Game Time promo code
All right,
LOCKEDON.
so overtime is going to be
$20
fun.
off.
I just want y'all all-time NBA starting 5.
I'm going to tell you right now, mine's going to piss off Tyvus. Great tease for overtime.
All time